Hello.
Wow.
Hey.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'm refreshing here to see if we're monetized, and the answer is still no. Hey, how's it going? It's a show. And
Hello,
Wombat
Wombat.
is here.
Hey.
TRM.
I still want to
Asa,
know
author.
why you're not monetized.
Well, you see, Johnny, when two hosts are really stupid, they get together and they create a show.
Good idea. We have a good idea.
So far, I'm
And
tracking this all.
When
checks.
one of them has cat shot brain from too many,
No, don't get me started about that, dude. Don't.
and when one of them likes to push every button on the screen at the same time, you're pointing the wrong way.
Not on my screen.
Oh boy.
There you go, right there. You get this combination of failure.
Yeah. It's
And
quite
that
spectacular.
is the Mover and Gonky show.
Yeah.
Welcome, one and all. We are here for you. We missed you.
I missed you guys. It's been a while.
Hey, how's our beef going, Wombat?
Dude, so somebody put that in the comments
Wild.
because somebody asked me to send him a link to the show like 30 minutes ago, right? And I was like, oh, hold on, let me go on YouTube. And I did, by the way, just you'll be proud, guys. I won't ask you for the link to the show anymore. I did. I made it a bookmark. So if you ever ask me to come back, which means this is probably my last show, and then I'll just have this bookmark on my computer of sadness because I don't get asked back on. But when I clicked the link to send to you, there's already people that, like you guys know this stuff. Where they chat, right? They put comments in the live chat at the beginning.
Correct.
And somebody's like, well, I guess this is proof that we don't have a beef. And I'm like, what in the world are people talking about? I'm like, dude, if we had a beef, I'd be like, mute Gonky, let's have it out live, done. Move. Like, what is this? Like, do people not understand?
Wait, is that an option?
Pilots talk to each other.
Do you want a beef?
Well, I mean, we could have one if you want.
Let's have a well scheduled in advance so we can advertise it.
Oh, yeah. Wait till we're monetized. Wait,
Yeah.
move it till we're monetized.
I don't know.
Drama
It's
sells.
surprising.
That's how wrestling works.
Like, do people think that when I'm not on the show, it's because we have a beef? Because it's just because you guys don't ask, or
I
because
kind
I'm
of assume
busy.
that. Yeah, I feel like
really?
you're mad at me when you don't show up. Yeah, because you're always
I
busy.
just feel thin-skinned. Dude, I am working like crazy. I think it's up to 5 days this month. And
What is wrong with you?
I have vacation, which is nice. No, it's busy, man. Sometimes you guys remember this is an hour later for me, right?
Well, we need to keep the beef going because that's probably why a lot of people show up. They're like, oh, I want to see the spears.
Where's the beef?
Yeah. Well, I
Where's-
mean, a lot of it has to do with the fact that you drive a Corvette, which is
Two of them.
essentially.
Here we go.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. A Corvette is just a fancy word for cobalt. I mean, and those aren't very fancy cars, right? So,
Don't you drive a Volkswagen Beetle?
a very fast, loud Volkswagen Beetle. Thank you.
But
very
still
much.
slower than the Cobalt. So
I don't know. I've never raced one. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
okay.
What's
all
your
right.
red line?
Right now, it's still
Check engine light.
it's gone.
No.
It's gone. Check engine
Oh,
light's
okay,
gone.
cool.
There's the check
Good.
engine light. It was
Good.
one time.
One time.
One time.
One and done.
All right. Well, that's great. Gonky, how are
Thanks
you?
for having me.
World's most terrible friend.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Mover.
Yeah,
Oh, it's your
Doug missed
birthday?
it too. Don't worry. Doug's also a terrible friend.
Is it today?
I thought we didn't celebrate. I've
Right.
lost track of the protocol.
I'm with Doug on this. Like, I don't want to be reminded of
T-Bear.
getting older.
T-Bear sent me a text. It was late, but T-Bear managed to say, "Hey, happy birthday, Mover."
For
Was
sure.
that today or
We thought
yesterday?
Mover
If
didn't
you're
celebrate.
having an existential crisis, it's nice to know people care.
Is that
For
why
sure
you
this
sent
is
me
what
that
happened.
Facebook message crying about getting older? And I was
Yeah.
like, well, it beats the alternative. And you didn't
Right.
reply back.
No, of course not. You know why? Because I was busy staring at my
Happy
new werewolf.
birthday, Mover.
Dude,
Right
for
here.
sure.
Werewolf.
Happy birthday.
Werewolf.
Jeez.
Like an
Mover
airwolf.
for sure.
though, dude. Look
T-Bear's
at
wife woke up and was like, hey, you better call Mover and tell him happy birthday. Oh, okay. It's like-
that. Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I'm with Doug, dude. Like, I
If
prefer
you
to
get it
forget my
within
own.
the day, that's all you need.
Well,
Was
then
it
I asked, I was like,
yesterday or
"When's
today?
my birthday?" He's like, "September
September
19th."
4th.
I'm like, "Nope." Well, you
Ah.
know now because we went over this. So he would
Well,
have
neither
got.
one of you know my birthday, so can we move on from this
October
topic?
22nd.
No.
I don't know mine, so we're all safe.
Means something.
I'm about to dog. I'll dig it up.
Look, we're giving all our PII away. So
You guys are getting
my
further
calendar
away.
from 10 years ago.
Opening up checking accounts.
Dude, we were
Hey, don't
roommates
try to
twice,
open up a
Gonky.
checking
That's
account
pretty
for
bad.
us because we are already, dude. We got banned by PayPal of all things.
We
Like,
did that.
What?
Actually, yeah.
Yes.
dude, PayPal banned us.
our
I don't even
company's
know how
not
that
doing
happens.
great.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't
How-
even know what I don't know what's happening.
You guys have been doing this forever. How do you screw it up now?
Thanks, dude. It's like
Well, we
so
haven't
I'm
been doing
asking.
it together.
on the wound. It's
It's
okay.
once we combine forces
Yeah.
that things stop.
This is an example of 1 + 1 = 0.5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I
It's
don't
like Pilot and Wizzo, right? I mean,
so really you're just here for fun now? Like this
Uh-huh.
is no, there's no
Just
No,
like
dude.
you.
We're-
Just like you, Wombat. Just like you.
cool.
We're supporting the brand.
correct.
That's-
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an investment. It's an investment
It's-
that one day somebody's going to be like, they're the next Rogan.
For me, it's therapy, dude.
It is
That day will
therapy.
be after we all die. But
Yeah, probably. I'll be martyrs.
Historical record. Every now and then somebody's like, hey, I watch your show. And I'm like, which
Yeah.
one? And they're like, you have two? And
You're like, I have
Yeah.
3. Which one?
I do.
yeah, I do occasionally fly with somebody that's like, oh yeah, I saw you on a podcast, YouTube show. I was like, cool. Like,
Yeah.
how'd I
Yeah.
do? They're like, you're funny. And I was like, nah, it's not real.
I have used our show as my source for Air Command and Staff College discussions.
Are you doing Air Command and Staff College?
I got 2 classes left, dude. I'm
I'm
gonna.
trying to
What?
talk him out of it.
What are you what
Thank you on that.
what the hell is going on?
Thank
Like
you.
I was
dude.
gone. I mean, it wasn't that long
Mhm.
ago that I was on the show. All of a sudden you're not getting paid to do this, but you're becoming like
You become what you
have
hate.
you seen
when
that
Wombat's not
show
around.
Going Dutch? I feel like you're doing the Air Force version of that. Why are you like
what
all
show?
of a sudden Going Dutch? Have you not seen that show with Dennis Leary? It's hilarious, dude. It is so
Oh, really? Is it good?
yeah. Well, it's
Did-
stupid good. Like it's
You
stupid.
know what's good? Did you watch Family Guy last night? I don't ever watch Family Guy, but I watched
Was it the one with
last
the
night.
Top Gun thing?
Top
Somebody
Gun,
sent me a
dude.
link.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so
Now I have
Better
to
awesome.
than
watch
the
it.
movie.
They
better than the
did
movie.
both movies. No, they did both
Yeah.
movies. So they
Yeah.
like at the midway point, it became Top Gun Maverick, and it was just phenomenal.
Amazing.
It was
Yeah.
hilarious.
I have
Yet
to watch
nobody
it
will
now.
make Treason Flight into even the funniest of comics. which
Give it
is-
time, dude. Give it time.
Right.
Have you
Give it time.
tried?
Asking
Reaching-
people?
Yeah, have you tried reaching out to
No.
Hollywood?
No, I'm more of a come to me kind of guy. I used to do the reach out thing and it didn't work out well in my Navy career.
Nobody
So I'm
answers
more
my
of just
emails.
I just back up now.
Yeah.
I just back up, man.
Oh, missed you on that.
Yeah, I told both of you guys, right, that my son was asking me why I do nasal rinses like a week ago, and it caused me to look at like, I guess I didn't tell Mover but based on his face, but it made me go back and look at the MRI of me almost dying, and then that somehow got me looking into old Navy emails and reliving every horrible thing that ever
Oh, yeah,
happened. to
I
me in the
remember that
Navy.
part. I didn't remember the nasal rinse part. I
Yeah,
must
it
have
was
blocked that
amazing.
out.
And that's where I was like, man,
Yeah.
you know what we should do is just do a Mover and Gonky show where I just like tell everybody
Unload
what
on
really
people?
happened.
You
And
should.
then
Let's just
everybody
start
would just hate the military.
and go.
Oh,
We're not
dude, it would
monetized.
be-
We can't get demonetized.
No.
We could get thrown
My
in jail
mom-
still, though.
My mom right now is watching this show and she's
Not
like,
a bad
don't
thing,
do
Gonky.
it. Don't do
I mean,
Yeah,
it. Don't talk about
that's
it.
one, dude. That's one way of achieving. If you want no responsibilities and freedom, I mean, you get three meals and a place to sleep.
probably be minimum security.
Probably.
And
for-
they got a gym, right?
Could
they
play
got a gym, yeah,
pickleball.
indoor and outdoor, probably.
Pickleball.
Nice.
Is that what they're calling it? I don't play those games, dude.
Not yet. Not yet.
I mean, you would learn.
One
You
in
would
prison.
I mean,
It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Doug, how are
We're
you?
not going to talk about my failed career.
I'm,
yet.
I'm still reeling about the reinterpretation of pickleball.
Yikes.
Sorry, dude.
I
Sorry.
like pickles.
Me too. I do like
never-
pickles.
It's
I
never
love
going to be
pickles.
the same.
So to
I love
speak.
pickles.
So to
I
speak.
just love pickles,
Oh,
so to
boy.
speak.
Hmm.
So to speak.
What else is going on, Mover? How are you? How old are you?
I can't say that.
22.
See, this is why
22.
we feel like there's mixed signals.
Because
No,
you
it's
can't
too
tell us
late.
how
Like
old
you
are.
either want it or you don't. You're either my friend or you're not. It's too late. We don't talk about it anymore.
Dude,
Luna
you're either
was here.
friendly or hostile. There's no bogey
Sounds-
in
There's
Mover
no
world.
there's no
There's
bogey.
no bogey.
And dude, what is with the Navy bogey spades? That's not right. You're either
I
a
never
bogey or a
understood it.
spade.
I
group.
just kind of ignored all that
Mover,
You
stuff.
can't
just-
be bogey spades.
Wombat, just
You
ignore
can't.
him. I've
It's
had
terrible.
this discussion with him. Just
There's no bogey spades.
okay.
You're spade group.
I mean, there is. I heard it all the time.
Yeah, in the Navy, because you're wrong. Because you don't know 3-1. Ask any weapons
I
officer
don't
in
even
the
know what
United
you're
States
talking
Air Force.
about. What is a 3-1?
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. You're more worried about landing on the boat than tactics.
Well, that's
Or
because
getting
it
shot down.
moves.
Getting shot down by your own people.
Yeah, and also
That's
getting
what I
shot
do.
down by your.
Or
That's what
making
I-
sure the boat
you're
that
right,
moves doesn't
Brown.
run into another boat that
Correct,
moves. I
exactly.
digress, though. We'll get to that in a little bit.
It's a
Once
lot.
the bickering is over.
Yeah.
funny.
Here we go.
Is this the end of the airing of the grievances?
Moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
got
It's
a
like a
lot of
mini
problems
folks-
with you.
It's like a mini Folksville Follies, dude. Air out
It-
everything up front, and then we're cool.
It won't work if I turn it the other direction. Then you'll just see the tail the other direction.
don't think that's right. I think, yeah,
If I
I
move
don't
it.
think anybody would object to you holding it up for the camera
yeah,
Yeah,
just
dude.
like this.
Check this
the whole
check this
time.
thing out, man. It's so cool.
the whole time.
Mover, you should have been wearing your helicopter helmet, dude. Look at this.
Uh-huh.
Is this?
I can't.
Did you
it's
buy
so
this
big.
for yourself?
so
Did somebody
massive.
buy it
There we
for
go.
you?
No, dude. I think somebody sent it to you, right?
No, Mover did this for Mover.
Oh, okay.
Wow, Man, that
That's
makes
awesome.
it a little awkward, doesn't it?
No,
No, it
that's
doesn't.
awesome. That's an awesome model, man.
I'm a
I wanna
grown
see it
ass man,
fly.
and if I want Airwolf, I can buy Airwolf. All right.
I
building
think
I don't
those
need
two
Kato.
statements, together
can't.
actually
I
cancel
can't.
each other out.
as soon as the show gets monetized again, he'll be brave enough to fly it.
Yeah,
Mover, are you
that's-
having a load of dirt dumped in your backyard so you can make like a volcano for that thing to land in and take off out of?
That is a wonderful idea.
Oh,
See, is
boy.
that better?
Repurpose the hot tub.
It's really not.
Repurpose
Dude,
the
either
hot
one is
tub.
better. You need to redesign your background.
I
That's
like
not
it, dude.
better. Now you got. Now it's
It looks
blocking the
good.
Corvette.
You need to
Dude,
get a
it's
green
good.
screen so you're sitting in Airwolf.
There you go.
We got a
Don't
lot of
drop
ideas.
it.
We got a lot.
Don't careful. Watch the tail rotor. Helicopters
hear
are
you.
fragile.
Yeah, that thing is just dying to fall
Watch
out
out.
of the sky. Oof.
Oh boy. Auto
Yes.
rotate. Those are the only terms I know with helicopters. by
No.
the way, so.
And they're made up turns.
That's
They're
the
not.
extent
They
of
just
my
made stuff.
knowledge.
It's magic. It's
No, this is the new helmet.
PFM.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
That is cool. It's not as cool as the one Mace was wearing that I commented on, but you have one of those too, don't you? I'm
What
not
one?
smart with helmets either
I don't know what you're
because I
talking
think
about.
you've had it before.
But
But
Thunderbird helmet, right?
no, she had another helmet on in one of
A
her
lift.
posts, and I was like, it was something, and she tagged the company, and then I stopped paying.
It's probably
attention. But it
Lyft.
was really
Lyft
cool looking
is
helmet.
Very popular in the social.
Yeah,
media
it was probably
sphere.
lift. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, they're carbon
Um,
fiber.
It looked really.
Mhm.
I was like, wow, that's so. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a
cool.
show.
Good talk.
Hope
Big
you guys
goals.
enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Big goals.
Stokes when Gover. I don't. Why did you? What does this mean, Doug? Why? What? I need context.
The chat's going by so fast; they get out of context really quick. That was back when you said or said Gonky was pushing all the buttons and stuff.
Ron says sarcasm is the spicy truth. Wombat.
It's
That
true.
Yeah.
one requires
Or
no
Mike
context.
No, there's no context.
John says, "Welcome back, Wombat. He must be on a hiatus from alien hunting."
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of that. I've had a few Tic Tacs, and they're delicious, by the way. If they want to sponsor Trees and Flight, I'm fine with that. And,
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I did fly a night flight to Seattle and saw something I couldn't explain. So I guess in theory, it was the in-flight meal. It had nothing to do with outside the plane, but that's still a UFO of sorts or whatever.
Do
we're
you
calling
have
it.
cat shot brain? Because that probably explains a
No,
lot
dude,
of the memory
I'm
loss.
not buying. Are you guys? Let's talk about that. for
That's a
second. Are
real
we
thing,
buying-
Wombat. That's a real thing, dude. Come on.
Are we buying this? Like, is
Gonky
this
is the
real? Like,
first
are we
victim.
really? Are we really buying?
Well,
it?
listen, Mover has noticed, and maybe I have too, that maybe in the last year, like I just
Dude, it's bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called getting old and having kids, dude.
No, it is
Everybody
that.
that
you don't
has
seem to
kids
have
in
this problem.
I
It's 'cause
don't.
he doesn't
mean,
work 4 jobs like you.
Yeah,
He works the
dude.
one.
I barely work that. So, dude, here's the thing. I'm not buying it, and now I'm going to get angry at another internet person that is all about clickbait because they went on Fox News and they talked about this stuff, and it's
That's
like
the same guy. That's the same guy you got
Well,
mad at last time, actually. But go on.
Well, there's two that I typically get mad at, and it's because both of them just vomit at the mouth to put things on the internet as quick as possible. And the problem I have with this is, as carrier pilots, we are not in any stretch of the imagination an expert in car crashes, in anything to do with the brain. We all think we are.
Yeah.
But it annoyed me because the way that person came across was that they were like an expert in what happens to your brain when you do. You're not. And first of all, if you want an expert, here's a fun story. I am one of the only people I know, and back me up if you guys have ever heard anybody else do this, who have taken a trap aboard an aircraft carrier completely unstrapped from the plane. So if Fox News wants to talk to anybody about how violent that is, I could tell you because I ate physically the yolk of an E2 on my pickleball, and it was not a fun way to trap and end a flight. So I'm not buying this whole brain sloshing around thing. And even if it is, every one of us signed up voluntarily, and every one of us knew the risks, that there was risks inherently.
Whoa, whoa.
They didn't tell me my brain was gonna
dangerous
turn
road to
jello.
say that, sir, because
Dude,
we want
are
VA.
you kidding me, Gonky?
We
Get
all
off of it. You know, you assumed you were going to die.
That's true.
The only
I
thing
didn't
that
think
you're
I'd make
upset
it.
about now is that you didn't, and now
I
your
made
brain's
it.
foggy.
I made it, and I have no plan.
Yeah, nobody taught us that. So sorry,
Yeah.
Mover, what were you going to say? I'm not saying.
I'm
there's
just
not
saying for
risks.
my VA claim, let's not start saying that we signed up for stuff.
Well, no, I'm not saying
I
don't
mean-
treat the people, but like, it's like this is just the newest clickbait thing of like, oh, this is why fighter pilots are aggressive, and I'm like, oh, is it? It's why carrier
it's
pilots are
forgetful.
aggressive because
I
of
believe
G
it's-
forces. Has nothing to do with the fact that most of them, when they're JOs, drink their body weight in vodka and booze,
I did.
or eat horribly, or get no sleep, take uppers and downers to stay awake and sleep. Has nothing to do with that.
I think
It's
that's your
because-
problem, Gonky, is you don't sleep enough.
I don't
Probably.
take no drugs either, so that could be.
But
a
you
problem.
seem no. But listen. Let's be honest. The vast majority of our generation, I think this is actually changing. Believe it or not, I think the next generation behind us is a lot healthier. The vast majority, we were stuck in this generation of like some people smoked a lot still, which was weird, right? Then you have, I mean, dude, every port call, dude, it was like binge drinking for as much as you possibly could.
Yeah.
But it's the cat shot and traps shaking my brain. It has nothing to do with the gallons of poison that people pumped into their system, myself included, in a 4-day port call. Has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
And then-
Look.
Has nothing to do with the stress levels of the job. Has nothing to do with the fact that you would come back and eat one-eyed Jack sliders at midnight and then go to bed, right? It has nothing to do with any of those health aspects. It's because your brain slid a little forward on the trap. Okay, I'll buy that. And now Top Gun's on board with this, so that makes me like it even less.
Yeah, if that's the case.
So,
You're right.
anyway,
You know,
I'm
Top
fine.
Gun recommends naps, and I can get on board with that.
yeah, naps are great.
Top Gun record.
If you ever read
Anyway.
the Top Gun manual, it says there's a whole thing about taking naps. I found that
Yeah.
when I was at Strike Patron
I did
204, and
most
they
of
told me
them
to go
during
watch the DVD.
flights. Anyway, so we are going off the rails. This is awesome.
No,
it's a good,
this is aviation talk.
it's a good, it's a good show. It's a good
Yeah.
show.
It's,
We're having a show here.
it's a show.
Are you not entertained? Justin says, is it really a Wombat appearance if we don't have to discuss made-up beef at the start of the show that explains why he hasn't been on in a while?
It's true.
It's just part of it, man.
Just part of it.
What in tarnation? That's a
I
good
love that.
puppy. Welcome back, Mombat or Wombat. Glad you're here. Just finished your first book, and all I can say is wow. Can't wait to get the next one. I got the first Spectre book too, and it's next.
Cool.
Wait a second. So both of
Oh.
my books are going before Mover's books on Mover's show. That's
Remember, Wombat. I told you we're not winning. Mover and I are not in a season of winning right now.
No.
No, it's definitely not Toyota-thon. Dimitri says, question to Wombat and Gonky. If on the same aircraft carrier, our Navy and Marine dude, you picked this, Doug? Our Marine squadrons.
That's a good one. This is a good
With
one.
same planes, say F-35s, can one branch ever use planes of the other?
Yes.
You can,
Dude,
but not
is,
F-35.
this is totally Dmitry in Moscow asking for the Kremlin.
No,
Dimitri,
there's a picture of him
I
right
should
there,
have read
dude.
this
He's
in an accent.
rollerblading.
Yeah, in downtown Moscow.
That's not Moscow.
Like that's
That's
a
a
Russian girl
red-blooded
behind him.
American rollerblader right there. Period.
That's straight up Seattle.
That's Seattle.
Yes. To answer your question,
Well,
yes.
you two are conflicting because it's either
Well, they
red
can
blo-
and they can't. So he
I
says,
did.
say F-35s. I bet they can't in an F-35 because the Marines have the.
No, the Marines are getting the C model. We covered this last week. If you'd have been here,
I
you'd
don't
know.
watch the show. Okay, what do you want?
So
from
if they're
me?
on the if they're on the big decks.
Okay, if it's the same variant, yes.
Yeah.
But where I would say no,
Yes,
absolutely.
different.
Oh yeah,
variant,
no, 100%. Like when we had the Marine Hornet Squadron on our carrier, they would have never flown if it wasn't for being able to fly the Navy jets.
Yeah, I flew the Marine jets. I flew the Argo jets. The jet that I broke both the mains was an Argo jet. It wasn't even ours. So
Nice.
Okay.
that's the last time I flew for the Argo jets.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine they'd be willing to give you one of their jets again.
That was the last time. Sorry, boys.
Like,
All right. Would you guys like to talk about topics today?
Let's do it. Send it.
So, breaking news out of Toronto: a
That's Canada.
Delta. Yes, that's in Canada. Thank you, Gonky. Delta
for
connection.
now.
CRJ had a mishap in Toronto. We've got a couple videos to show you. The first being this right here.
Ooh, haven't seen this.
Yep, this is
was the one
breaking
I was-
live, late breaking news.
It's live late breaking.
Oh, that gets rid of him
No,
altogether.
that's fine. That's awesome.
Sorry.
I don't need to be here.
No,
Perfect.
there we go. That's the one.
You're
Are you
wondering
ready?
why I don't come on the show often.
What are we looking at here?
It's a surveillance video.
That's
That's the
snow.
one.
A lot of
gotcha.
snow. There's a helicopter right there,
Yep, and right to left, you're going to see. the
and there's maybe a tug,
Okay.
something. And that's an airplane skidding
Oh.
and catching fire. Holy
Oh,
crap.
dang, dude.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Wow.
Oh my God. How did anybody survive that?
Oh.
That's amazing. For the podcast listeners, we're watching video of the CRJ skidding
Yeah, and
and
bursting into
crashing.
flames.
It looks like that
Dude, that's a lot of flames.
the Sioux Falls. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The DC-10.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the med flight helicopter sitting there.
Yeah, I think it is.
Wow.
Did they like land and go help people?
Yeah, they immediately. I didn't listen to the link, but somebody talked. You can see it on all ATC or whatever that thing is. But like somebody
Yes.
brought up that they immediately went in from like we're in support mode to like we're going in. Like they basically were directive, which I thought was. Oh, thank goodness! I'm glad we have somebody.
Oh boy.
Filming as they try to egress
Yeah,
upside down.
put your phone down.
At least nobody's carrying their. Oh, that guy's got his
That guy's
backpack.
got-
That
yeah.
guy's got his backpack. Oh, language.
Oh, earmuffs. Earmuffs, kids.
Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cursing in this one actually. You just might
Yeah.
want to mute it. Here we go.
Okay. Well, maybe
Hey, look,
mute
they're doing
that.
the water cannon like it's their last flight. Too soon. Sorry. I can only joke because everybody.
Everyone's
right?
alive.
Well,
Thank God.
that no, take that. There is one little kid that was in
Critical.
condition.
really?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't
we
know
hope-
that, man.
Hope that.
My guess it's my what. So this brings up an interesting discussion on airliners that came up. My guess is it was an infant in lap, and I have no idea how that's allowed anymore. Like,
Yeah.
How
That's
is
how my
that-
daughter traveled?
no, I know, but like, I mean, like you need like NASCAR level car seats to be legal in a car, right?
Yeah.
But on a plane, you're like, I'll just
All right, let's watch Vast
Thank you.
Aviation. Our friends
Yeah.
there.
This is pretty
Is
interesting.
the audio safe on this one? I didn't
yeah,
screen that.
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
Sorry, man.
So Vast Aviation, great channel. Check them out if you haven't.
Toronto Tower, Endeavor 4819, I'm sorry. That was 23. Endeavor 4819, Toronto Tower, wind 27023, gust 33, clear the line on 823. You might get a slight bump in the glide path. There'll be an aircraft in front of it. Clear the land, 23, Endeavor 4819.
So Endeavor is the Delta connection.
Stop it right there. 27028 gust 35
That's
with
windy.
blowing snow. Oh my gosh.
That's windy.
That is a windy,
but they're on
snowy,
2-3, so
Yeah.
it's not far
40
off,
degrees off.
right?
So
I mean, that's not. You could do the. Do you have your whiz wheel?
No,
Whiz wheel.
no. But mental math says it's probably within limits, but that's still pretty windy.
Probably. I mean, I don't know what CRJ limits are. I mean, it would be within limits for the Airbus. That's for sure.
I feel like I'm learning a lot about the CRJ lately.
Yeah, dude. Sadly.
4543 ground runway 24 right, data Golf altimeter 2993.
Oh my gosh.
Standby. Winning crash
Four
fire rescue
controllers.
on the runway.
Everything is going on to see all
We
that.
need emergency services runway 23. Yeah, we're on it. We got the call going out.
Yeah, I feel bad for the controllers too.
7105, pull up Goron. The Goron, 7105.
Yeah.
This airplane just crashed at 23. 7105, pull up Goron. Mike, take him out of vac, you can just stay there. Mike, take him out of vac.
That was the medevac we saw.
Flight
in that
1
other
medevac, I
video.
got no traffic here, so just let me know what you'd like to do. We just had a crash on runway 23 here.
Hey, for Roger, yeah, we're discussing with their OCC whether they wanted to redeploy to this crash site or not.
Roger, we're 7105, contact departure 1288. Departure 288, 7105.
Okay, now all other aircraft in the frequency, just stand by. Got an emergency going on. It's not happening now. We have a huge emergency on 23. You're not coming out.
There's always somebody that's like, hey, I'd like to taxi.
On 23. I don't really want to put you anywhere near there. Is there anywhere else you want to go right now? Okay, yeah, let's do that. Do the 180, and then November, just hold short of that. Go for now, plot 157.
Ground, Red 1 and company.
That's the fire, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Red 1
Red
and
Line.
company ground.
Or emergency services.
How calm are those dudes staying?
At Whiskey, responding to the 1 Alpha.
Red 1 and company, proceed on runway 24 left, then Delta 1. Cross runway 24 right, up Alpha, and hold short Alpha Kilo.
Hold short, just
Left passport 2 right, Alpha.
Remember, they're still dealing with
787 report, currently the airport's closed for
and don't forget that everybody is
we're not
cognizant
going to continue
of
northbound
running
due to
over
weather. We've got
survivors.
permission from OCC to land north end
Francisco, right?
and assist with this crash if needed.
left flight 1, medevac, Roger, proceed to north end for now. You want to land Julian and Kilo area?
Hey, for
Hell
Julian
yeah.
Kilo flight 1
Good
medevac.
job.
Good for those guys.
Good
They
job.
Where's the crash?
I mean,
It's on runway 23. Right
That
at
gives you
threshold,
chills, man. Makes your eyes water a little bit.
23 and 15 left.
Okay, we got it in sight. Can you tell us what type of aircraft it was?
Yeah, it was an RG9.
Roger.
Jesus.
Left flight 1, medevac, Roger, Juliet and Kilo intersection. You can land there. Wind
Yeah,
270, 24.
And a helicopter?
Man, that's
Clear
windy.
land Juliet Kilo, left flight 1 medevac.
Gus 33.
can't you
Left
just
flight 1,
turn
medevac,
it
just
in?
so you are there.
Stupid question.
People
I
outside
honestly
walking
don't
around the
know.
aircraft
Yeah,
there.
you can, but it's
Yeah,
still
we've got
Does
it.
it help?
Aircraft, there's
I mean, I don't
upside
understand
down
what
and
I thought
burning.
about.
upside down and burning.
That's wild.
Amazing. And they got out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude, that's just the fuselage. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
oh yeah, the
wings are
tail's
gone.
buried,
uh,
and the wing on the other side might sort of be there, but it's not. I mean, they're
That's
not
wild.
long-winged aircraft anyway, right? I mean,
no, it's
Um,
amazing. Well, let's, thoughts and
So-
prayers that everybody.
yeah,
everybody
hopefully all
gets out.
recover. The thing I'll say, and I'll say this because I haven't been on since the last one, I think we're going to talk about again. It makes me so freaking proud to be part of an industry that when stuff like this happens, like the professionalism goes to like 11. It
Kudos
blows my
to
mind.
those
These
controllers.
controllers,
Mhm.
I mean, the first thing I did with the DC thing is I texted my buddy who's a controller here. And I was just like, man, I could only imagine because as a pilot, I know I put myself in the cockpit of every one of these. And I'm like, what would I do? What would I think? How would you try to learn something? I guarantee you that air traffic controllers do the same. It just blows me away with how professional they are because like as pilots, I think we're trained to like, you keep flying. And in this case, they were still flying that plane upside down on the runway, right? Until everything stops. Like you keep going, but then you're done. You don't think about the air traffic controllers that have 10, 20, however many other aircraft that they're controlling. Like they just can't be like, cool. Like it takes a second. I mean, they will pull that controller, right? I mean, they do. They always do. It's protocol. But it takes a second for that. And it's like, that is some
Dude,
Yeah, there's other
top-notch
airplanes.
professional that just brings a
Yeah.
tear to my eye.
And it did
I
not look
appreciate it
survivable.
there.
You
I
know,
mean,
you're not looking at something like, oh, that was everybody walked away. Like you watch that and everybody's nope. We're gonna be
no. I mean, if you saw that real time from the tower, you would think with that flame and everything, you'd be like, that's it, like guaranteed.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the first shots that came out was just the jet, sitting there upside down, and in my mind, I was like, oh, they try like a high-speed taxi and slide off because of the snow and just roll it and that kind of thing. But I had no dude. That video
that looks like it happened in or around the flare and they
high
were at
speed, dude. That's a high
all the way down the runway, decelerating as they went.
With how far back that flame went, remember?
Yeah,
it's all relative, right? So it's actually how fast the plane's moving away from.
Yeah,
and that's why it looks. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It is crazy. I mean, whether it was a wind shear, a wake turbulence, a combination of everything. I mean, who knows? Yeah.
He in that video we just watched that Vast put out. He warned him about a bump on final.
I think that my thought, and I don't want to be, deep into
speculative.
You're not speculating, but if you were to speculate,
if I was going to speculate, I think what he meant there is there was going to be a plane that taxis through the ILS cone, and it was going to just be like he would see. Have you ever seen that? Where the Airbus does a really good job at it.
Yeah.
I've seen it in close hand flying where you'll see it just kind of blip, and it's because somebody taxis. I think that's what he meant. I don't think the bump was like a physical.
I thought he was talking about wake turbulence.
That's what I was.
I thought so when you guys mentioned that, but when I hear it, I'm like, that's unless they report wake turbulence differently. That's not what you would hear in the States. I mean, they would be very adamant, like, caution, you are following in XYZ, caution wake turbulence.
I've never flown in Canada. Is that pull up, go around thing? Is that something else that they say a lot too? That sounds,
I don't go around because go arounds are for quitters. I've always said that, but no, I could very well see that it's just kidding, totally kidding. But seriously,
where's the banner? Where's the banner?
No. It is a joke, but it would not surprise me if they do say like that directive call of like, or honestly,
you've flown to Canada, Wombat, huh?
Yeah, I have. I don't go around, so
he's never gone.
But,
in Malaysia they would say different things. I
sure.
I understood it, but it was just because they're slightly different standard.
Yeah, it could be that it's their standard, which I'm sure somebody will comment in. It could also just be, think of the extremist that guy's in, the controller, right? He's just like
descriptive.
Yeah, exactly. Which again goes to the professionalism, like from at least that, because it's the first time I heard that snippet. From that snippet, like hands off to the great controller.
Dude, I go back to the mental health side of this. Is the controllers have been put through the ringer because of all the stuff that's been going on lately that they have been party to and witnessed. And to see something like that, the first thing you're like is, what, oh my God, and it's another RJ. And I think people are a little wound tight right now because we just had a major mishap. And so to see something like that and to keep their composure, but good on the medevac guys. This reminds me of that South Florida when the 80s the business jet landed on the highway and hit the wall, and then the young flight attendant, and then the sheriff's helicopter was like first on scene. Remember we covered that because I said, hey, let's listen to the audio, because it was like Air Rescue 1 or whatever. They were like, where was it? Snap me to that. We're going to go see if we can help them. And I think that's commendable. That's a I did a AIB review on my channel, will come out tomorrow, for the F-16 mishap at Holloman, and it's the exact same thing. The guy jumps out, and he was in the helicopter in 5 minutes from the time he punched to the time, and that's including free fall and everything, from the time he punched to the time the flight surgeon walked up to him, because there happened to be a flight surgeon on these Army helicopters, walked up to him. You okay? Yep. Walked him to the helicopter. He was in the helicopter within 5 minutes. And it's just like stuff like that, like you talked about, Wombat. It kind of makes you proud to be in this community because people step up and do the right thing. I really hope that little kid, man. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah.
I hope everybody
That's-
does.
I
I hope
hope
everybody does.
This is one of those where we're like, "Phew, we dodged
Yeah.
a major
Huge
one
boil.
because I
Huge.
don't. You don't want to
Yeah,
hear
I
that.
agree. No. This is.
But
Yeah,
blowing snow, high winds, probably a runway condition that wasn't great. You know, I mean, if you've got snow, you probably have terrible runway conditions. I mean, and there's probably a lot
But
of
I gotta
factors.
believe there's protocol, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
have we all have different airlines, right? But we have go, no go, like nope.
It'll all come out. It'll all come
will.
out. I mean,
Well,
the NTSB has been busy.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
This stuff, can we just stop? Like, can we be done with this stuff for a little while? Like,
No, well,
please?
so
I
you
mean-
know, Gonky and I talked about this last week. You know, is aviation safe? And the
Yeah.
answer is still yes.
Yes.
Oh,
The
1000%.
answer is still yes.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just, man, we just need
We need a break.
breather. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need a breather. We need to go back to the mundane and boring.
Yeah, we need to go back to Mover. What are we going to talk about tonight on the show?
Yeah.
Nothing's
Nothing
happening.
going on. Nothing's
Wow.
Nothing going
happening.
on. Talk about Fat Amy again.
The
Yeah.
felon, the Su-57. Yeah, something not. So, but seriously though, we're fortunate that it wasn't worse. But we hope that it was a little girl. We know, a little kid, little boy.
I don't know. And
Well,
somebody
so
asked
I
if
know
it
there's
was
some
like
injuries.
infant or toddler. And the
Somebody
only
had
thing I
said
can
little girl, but I don't know.
I
if
can only
that's
speak to
accurate.
this for people that want to know because I have a 2-year-old. Apparently, 2 is about the cutoff,
It
where
is
like you
cut
go
off.
from infant and lap to
Yeah.
actually having because we looked into it because we were going to go somewhere. That shows how much I know about what goes on behind the door. But yeah, it's
Well, the last month when my wife and daughter flew to Ohio, she was a lap child. She had her birthday in Ohio, and on the way back,
That's
I had to buy
hilarious.
I had to
You
buy
had to
her
buy
a
her a
ticket
ticket?
because she had her own seat. It's like,
Well, but
So-
dude, in this case, it's like, dude, like when my kids go, when we travel, I'm gonna be like, you put the seatbelt on and wrench it down, man. Like that's your. I mean, just think about it from a standpoint of like, so I have a 2 and a 6-year-old, right? And like the 2-year-old, she is like strapped in, right? I mean, like it's like I
Yeah,
said, it's
in a
like
car.
NASCAR style in the
Yeah.
car. Mind you, she's in a car that's massively safe and not taking the impacts of a plane. My 6-year-old, I mean, booster seat, 3-point seatbelt like everybody else pretty much has. And then you go to the airline, it's like lap belt's cool. Or it's like, and I mean, it's obviously it works, right? Because I mean, if 80 people got off this plane,
Amazing.
76 of them were wearing lap belts,
Absolutely
well,
amazing.
75, right? Because the
Yeah.
only people that would
Oh,
have
yeah.
anything else would be the pilots and the flight attendants, right?
yeah,
So it obviously works, but
yeah.
it's like, isn't there a better?
I think they do. I mean, it's part of the whole. I mean, right? If you have a 1-year-old, I mean, the 1-year-old is going to be want to be in mama's lap, right?
Yeah, no, I
I
know.
mean,
I
like, you
heard
can't-
other countries. I heard other countries actually have harnesses and it straps the baby to the parent.
Oh,
Haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Uh,
I've heard it. Anyway.
So we've got some help from the audience. Crosswind component for a 25 knot winds is 16 knots, 40 degrees off the nose. With gust, it was more
God
like
bless your
21 knots.
followers.
Yeah. Well,
I need that person to fly with me.
but that also helps CRJ's crosswind limited to 25 knots.
Okay.
So, and then Elias says VRF is 145 with the wind. They should have been at like 165, but Flight Radar had them at 110. Could have been a wind shear event. You know, could have been
wind
some
shear,
kind of.
that could have been the bump.
Dude, I had it.
Could've
Did
been
I
the
ever
bump,
tell you the
right?
story of the wind shear I had going into Buffalo in the flare? And it actually, it's kind of relevant a little bit. So long day, right? Third flight of the day. It's midnight. We're landing in Buffalo. Great FO. We're coming in clear night. There's nothing. They're calling gusty winds. They're not calling wind shear advisories. They're not calling any of that. And clear. I mean, I could see the runway, and we're coming in, and I do my normal flare, which is, for the people that don't know, much too late. And I'm expecting the very firm, hey, you must have been in the Navy type landing. And we just float. And we float and we float. And then the wing comes up, and I'm like, what? Like, and in my brain, I'm thinking, like, what did I do wrong? Right? Like, I'm actually thinking through this. The touchdown markers pass. I had a very brief moment. WOMBAT came out for a brief moment where I'm like, I could still make this. And I was like, nope. And I just, toga, we went around, the mains actually touched, came back around, land on the second one. I told the FO, I go, dude, if I can't do this one, it's yours. Like, you got to try. Like, because I didn't know what I screwed up, right? I mean, everything else I had done normally, I was expecting a very firm landing, like I always have. Next morning, I'm at breakfast texting one of my buddies who's an instructor. And I'm like, yeah, man, I couldn't figure it out. He's like, were you in a 321? I'm like, yeah. He's like, when is the wind shear inhibited in a 321? I was like, He's like, you do teach on this, right? I was like, I should probably know that. And what it was is it was a wind shear below it was where it's inhibited. So we never got a wind shear warning, but it was a wind shear. And I was like, dude, so this very well could have been, especially with gusty winds and stuff. I mean, you don't know.
Sure
I don't know how CRJs work in wind shear. Like, some planes are better than other planes. I can't imagine.
I'm sure the CRJ
CRJ
has a wind shear.
Delta wing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has a wind shear detection system in it.
Yeah. Well, so does the Airbus, though, but it's inhibited down low. You're talking
321 apparently.
Well, in the flare, though, we're talking way low. We're not talking like 500 feet. We're talking like, essentially, we're talking a regime of flight where the manufacturer goes, nah, dude, just stick the landing. Like, it's not worth trying to do something else. So,
well, I don't know. Is there any lag? I mean, if you're just pulling like the data off of,
talking about the speeds there.
Oh, flight radar.
Yeah, flight radar. There could be a lag.
That's off the transponder, so it could be
Yeah.
off
Who knows?
itself, right? It's got tolerances of its own. Also, final relevant text, which love the puppy dog. Friend was working Red One. You could hear her on comms. Beauty job by all involved. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, dude, she super calm too. Bravo to your friend. Like, I'll be honest with you. All jokes to Canada, because I know it's in the news right now. I love flying up there. Everybody's so nice. Like, I mean, even like you fly through New York's airspace and get to Canada, and it's like night and day. It's hilarious. I mean, I love going up there. But anyway.
let's also point out it was in Canada, so
right.
Whether the FAA was funded or not had nothing to do with Canada.
Nope.
It's
but how will we get angry about things? That don't matter.
It's a different country.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they don't. The FAA has no jurisdiction.
The FAA did not have a part in this.
Nope. Which is true based on my CPDLC that disconnects when I go up there and it ticks me off. I'm like, come on. I have to listen to the radios now. This is crap. Anyway.
All right. Let's move on to something lighter. Without comment, I'm going to have Douglas play this next video, and I would like you to tell me your assessment of this flyover. Gentlemen, your thoughts.
Oops.
I mean, if you're not on time, be early, right? Is that not?
Yeah.
So can I ask a serious question?
You could go ahead.
Because as a naval aviator, I know the Blue Angels schedule, and I know when they go to training and winter training. Is it fair to assume that the Thunderbirds have a similar, like, and Mace would be the person to ask, obviously, but like where they do like a winter training? Because like every Blue Angel that you know will tell you.
I asked her this, man. I don't think they have a winter training, right? They just train at one spot.
But do they is there a time where they bring new people in? Like,
yes.
The Navy
they train.
Systematically.
They train Wombat.
No. I understand they train. You're missing my point. Like the Navy in the winter specifically goes, okay, here come the new pilots. We're going to fly a million things together before we do the El Central Air Show as our first one. And they'll tell you, they're like,
right,
dude, the El Central Air Show is nowhere near as good as our last Air Show.
I'm sure they have a training program, dude.
I'm just trying to.
It's the Air Force.
Here, let's listen. This one's a little bit better for the audio. You can get the timing a little bit better. Ready? Here we go.
Is there any volume?
Gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare.
Okay, really...
let me say this. They could have salvaged it if they had flown over at bombs bursting in air and done a bomb burst. Like, then I'd have been like, good job. Anyway, continue.
I mean, the formation looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, the formation looks
So
really
without
good.
audio, it looks great.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Looked really low there too, actually, but that's just
Well,
a parallax.
that's what they're allowed to do as the demo team for the United
No,
States
I know, but
Air
that was a
Force.
parallax from what
Dude, I don't you know what? I'm perfectly capable of gooning that up. And just just so the audience
as
knows.
somebody who was your pretend JTAC on the ground.
Wombat.
On the
No,
ground.
literally the last time I did a flyover at an event was with Wombat as the ground guy. And it was
that's wrong. The last time you did it was with
that's
Skid.
true, in the T-38.
Was
that's right,
with Skid, and you're like,
the last
recommend
real
no
one when he
burner.
flew a good
That's
jet.
right.
Last real
Listen,
one.
dude, there was a
Not
reason I
Air
said that. I
Force.
won't say it on live air. But anyways, so the last one I did in the Navy, I want to get us more fired, Mover. The last one that I did in the Navy was with Wombat.
Yeah, we didn't have pods, by the way. So you and I were the only two that were legal.
That's true. But anyways,
Yeah,
the thing is, I guess where I'm going at with this. So when I did it with Wombat, and I'm perfectly capable of gooning up flyovers and flybys, but I've done a lot of them, relatively speaking. I've been the person on the ground. But like, if you remember Wombat, the one that we did, like, is one of my last flights at 122.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Hey, you're gonna go out and do an all-weather intercept mission for these 2 students, and on the way out there, you're gonna do a flyby for Lemoore high school football." And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, which is like, it's very close to the airport. It's like, where do I go hold? They're like, no, just take off and make it work. I'm like, what?
That's not how any of this works.
Correct.
That's not how any of this works.
And because of, Wombat did his thing on the ground, figured out how long it takes for them to sing the song, right? I did a little system magic, a little, that's about right. And I had a turn, like I had a little route, because, we took off to the north, and I made sure there was a turn so I could at least speed up or slow down. And I think we did a good job.
We shacked it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
But
for a high school football game that my guess is gets flyovers literally every day, with how close it is to the master jet base of the West Coast, it was beautiful.
Well, so my point is, it's spectacular to me in the sense that you have, and I'm sure, dude, they're all way better pilots than me, all these Thunderbird pilots. But like, I'm surprised that,
like I said, formation looked great.
Like, for them, this should be something very simple in my mind. And I don't know what the extraneous factors are. We talked about earlier. Trump was there, right? Did a flyby in Air Force One. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Could have been.
Maybe there was some weird, hey, there's UFOs over here. Some weird NOTAM. Who knows? Like,
could have been.
Chemtrails over here, right? I mean,
allegedly.
But there's a whole bunch
something.
of questions. Yeah, because I find it hard to believe that
they're too good to be that bad.
Well, let's back up. So I think we sometimes assume a baseline knowledge. Let's back up a little bit. And here's why we think this. I think we skipped the part where we're like, here's why there's something amiss. Standard flyby, right? The goal is to arrive over the objective, whatever that is, stadium, racetrack, funeral, usually not a funeral.
I've done a funeral.
Not with a national anthem, though. I guess my point. For the national anthem, you want to arrive at Brave, home of the brave.
Yep.
You want to be like, as they're holding that note, flying right over, freedom,
just
fireworks, whatever.
Burners.
Yep.
Yeah.
Burners.
So it typically, because I got blocked on X today about this, which is crazy.
What?
People will block you for anything.
What?
Yeah, photographer was trying to tell me how flybys work.
I need to do more online because I don't get blocked by enough.
Because he said that they shacked the TOT, and I was like, no, they did.
No,
and it's like, well, they were supposed to fly over at 1:33 p.m. and they got there at 1:33, and I'm like, well, that's your ballpark, that's your window.
Yeah.
But your TOT, and Skid was our great ground fact when we did the Atlanta flyover. I'm sure Wombat, you've done it before. Gonky, you've done it. It's your baseline, right? When I did NASCAR flyovers, I would find out how long does it take the singer to sing the national anthem. Minute 28, minute 24, minute 30 something, whatever. I got screwed by that because the country music singer Jessie James suddenly got nervous and she sang it in like a minute 10. And so, dude, I'm going as fast as that jet will go without breaking the number to try to get to the
That's when a good American breaks the number.
Yeah.
It's an even better flyby.
Yeah. That's how I got
flyby.
stuck in Dover for 2 weeks because I hit a bird and we were at the end of the fiscal year. So
there's money for that next year.
Yeah. Anyway, so the idea is you hold at a point offset from where it is. You know the time it takes at the speed you want, which for them might have been 400 knots, 350, 300, whatever. You know the distance, you know the time. And I liked to do like a figure 8 because you were always turning back inbound. You know, you didn't do the standard because you were always back in.
You could always be 90 in.
Right.
Easy. Yep.
So you're holding at this point, and then they give you the ready hack, and the national anthem started, and you know, hey, a minute 28 roughly, or whatever it is, I need to be over this point. And that's when your ground fac comes in, because they're the ones saying, okay, they're on time. Okay, they're early. They started. And sometimes, like what Skid did, they'll key the mic and you'll just listen to the song. And
I think I did that to you, Gonky.
Yep.
Yeah. So where this can fall apart is if you push at a different time or place than you expected, or if your ground fac is not helping you out. So if, you were expecting them to say, hey, the music started, or they were late and said, oh yeah, music started, push it up or pull it back, and you're not getting that, all that stuff can happen. Now, can you fix it? Yeah, you can fix it with a 90-90. Like we have certain times. I was asking Gonky this. I forgot what the times were. I think it was if you did a 90, that took a 30-second. If you back in and out might be a minute. But we had rules of thumb for based on how fast we were flying of how much we could deviate, still come back and make the time. At some point, though, you have to just accept it, and that probably is what happened here, where you're getting a flyby. We're sorry it's not on time.
Look good, boys and girls, because we're going over.
We make fun of them because they are our premier demo team in the United States Air Force, and that's literally their one job. But it gets like, dude, my old squadron, when I showed up there, like the early 2000s Makos had so much trouble with flyovers. Like I remember they did a Marlins game, and they were so late that the players were walking on the field and they got booed. That's
when you're like, flyovers canceled, boys. Let's go home.
Wait, there's more. There was another one where Joe Robbie Stadium and their new stadium built right next to each other, hadn't demolished anything.
Oh no.
They flew over the old stadium, which was behind everybody's back. They flew.
It's not good.
It happens to experienced fighter pilots. We make fun of it because, as Gonky has said, somebody quoted me back to you, Gonky, on Twitter, like, you'll never impress another pilot.
No.
Yeah.
Because the best you can do is break even on these things.
Yep.
But
I've got to believe that, honestly, something
happened.
Screwed him
Yeah,
up. Something did. Whether it was, hey guys, you got to hold over here for weather, and it's further.
Well, they did take off late, so it was confirmed that they were held on the ground because of Air Force One arriving, and they could not take off on time based on that. Now, is that why they were super early? I don't know. Maybe they were pushing from a different point or whatever. But something started that chain as a result of the Air Force One flyover, which, by the way, 747 with the flaps down, flying over the Great American Race is pretty cool.
I thought it was cool.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
My thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we did the NASCAR flyover, we were all kind of backing up the timing.
Yeah.
Right. So, when the Thunderbirds push out like that, once they get tight smoke on, they can't maneuver. Like the boss can't maneuver a whole lot.
But remember T-38 versus Viper. Viper's like the Hornet. TOT and the thing.
I was going to ask you that.
You're getting an airspeed carrot. And you can see it
or whatever.
DED.
Okay. What I'm saying is that where I'm getting at is wherever their holding point was, if they had a holding point, they're not close together. So I would, as I used to as a wingman when I wasn't leading flyovers, I'm backing up the timing like, hey, I think,
Yeah.
you know,
And they had a family model. I don't remember if there was somebody in the back seat.
Yeah.
I mean, that helped us a lot because we had Gono and Noonan in the same jet. So,
dude, it almost seems like if they
awesome.
nailed their TOT, that tells me they had a comm failure with the ground.
that's true. Yeah, I mean,
The
they
ground unit.
absolutely ground guy could have had some kind because that has happened too, where
Yeah.
you can't hear the ground fac
It's a good point,
and you just push on time.
Yeah, and they were like, dude, we don't know. We're gonna give them a
Send it.
flyover, and
Yep.
they nail the TOT because that was their it's about here, and they get what they get. I mean, to me, that's the only real because they're like, dude, the Thunderbirds
too good to screw up that bad.
Yeah, the Thunderbirds do like so much amazing stuff, and
Yeah,
it's a simple flyover, dude.
Like if that was a normal squadron, even I don't care what service, you know, Air Force, Marine, Army, if it was a normal squadron and they were that off, I'd be like, rookies. But the Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels, like if they're that off, I bet that's what it.
But at least they look good. I mean,
they did look good. That was a good flyover.
Dude, what was it? The flyover like 2 weeks ago, where it was like -4 was like missing man. So I mean, and you know, old OFP, the old fighter pilots on Facebook,
I love
will
that Facebook group.
massacre you if you are not in perfect fingertip.
Yes.
So they got that part right.
It's not just perfect fingertip. It better be the right vantage point of the camera because God help you if the looks wrong.
No fisheye lenses here, sir.
I love
it better look
like literally the Blue Angels. If you watch their documentary, like they move out of position when they do the 12-inch one at the end of the season. They're physically not in the normal position because of the parallax. Like that is OFP Facebook level of annoyance where they're like, oh no, that looks perfect. It's like
OFP is old fighter pilots, by the way.
It's a group that's horribly awesome to be a part of, and I'm sure I'll get canceled off it because I've already been yelled at there because they're like, "You were an E2 guy." It's like you could fly more than one plane, Grandpa. But it's hilarious because they just rip them apart, and I can just imagine this dude that's like 90 in his boxer briefs, sitting like he was happy he could find his computer screen, and he's complaining about this fighter pilot that's an inch out of his. It's like, dude.
No, it's usually the guy that was with the Puerto Rican Air National Guard that all he did was fly formation his entire career.
Or the guys who did their entire 20 years in the training command.
Oh, hey, I've been corrected. Whatever stadium they built. Okay, you got me. Joe Robbie and Hard Rock are the same stadium. There were two stadiums right next to each other. They flew over the wrong one.
I think they flew over the Orange Bowl.
Story is that's not good.
Was the Orange Bowl?
Maybe. That would have been contemporaneous.
Yeah, whatever it was in the early 2000s, one stadium was the one they were supposed to fly over, and one stadium was the old stadium, and they flew over the old stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I could see making that mistake, right? Stadium's a stadium.
And it was literally behind him. It was like behind the stands.
That's a really bad mistake, actually. That's where you line up your lead in to go over both, so you're good.
Yeah. See,
that's some big picture.
Yeah, I heard stories like this, so like I would just totally nerd out freak. I GPS weapons designate the football field.
Well,
dude, that one I was talking about.
Big lineman to sit there so I can designate his head. He ain't going to college.
Well, the one with Jesse James was like, it was we were gonna bring 4. We got budget cuts down to 2. We took 2 on the road, and they're like, you need to burn off some cross-country time, get some experience. And my wingman broke landing at Dover the day before the thing. And it's like, okay, now you're doing a single ship flyover in an F-16. And it's like, oh, really?
Oh, man.
It's just me.
The good thing is you can maneuver if you have to.
But I was going so fast that it was just, and they're like, was that the flyover? Like, there's a video out there of Tony Stewart looking, going,
where did it go?
Was that the flyover?
That's awesome. That's it. It's over.
One little GE motor singing her heart out.
Well, and then when I turned back around, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna fly right back by, and that's when I hit the bird, and I was like, oh, we're done. Mover's done. Mover's in trouble. Mover's done. We hit a bird.
Some days you're the bird. Some days
and
you're the mover.
And I was like, I'm gonna go to the suite and meet Jesse James because T-Bear knew her dad, and she's like, oh, I'm waiting for you. She was gone. By the time I got there, the race was halfway over, and she'd like, oh, we waited. See you later. Who knows what could have happened? I could be a made man right now.
Yeah.
And
instead, you're on a non-monetized
here I am
channel
on the unmonetized YouTube podcast. it's just different. Things just
We need to
It
start
all
making
happens
better
for a
life
reason.
choices.
Man.
unanswered
It all
prayers,
happens
right?
for
Unanswered
a
prayers.
reason.
It all works out.
That's hilarious. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Mhm. Well, okay, well that's enough of that.
Yeah.
We've let's go back to
In
serious
summary,
topics.
Thunderbirds, you looked great. Keep up the good work. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Fix your comm issues if that's what we think it is. So go.
Yeah. Better luck next time in front of the boss.
Yeah. I don't know if
He-
you guys know this, but he likes to fire people. So maybe.
Well, luckily he
up
was
for
cool
more.
with it. I mean, I don't think the general public doesn't really like if he had been a fighter pilot too, he'd be like, "You fired." But
Yeah.
When Mover's president, that ain't gonna fly. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
whoever the
Come
future
on.
king
Let's
is.
all, if we're going to make Trump jokes, let's be honest. He probably was happy because anytime people aren't looking at him, he's not happy. So they could have just not shown up completely.
Hurry
Come
up,
on.
Mover. Next.
It's true. What? He's from the Northeast. Like, it's fine. He's fine. It's just true.
No, you
It's like he likes the
Wombat,
attention.
It's 100% fine, dude.
It's fine.
Just
It's
realize
totally fine.
Facebook can still throw us in jail. I mean,
Physically or Facebook jail?
well,
Does that even count? Actually, I need to know because I want
The
to
Send
distinction
all-
is increasingly unclear.
hold on. Hate mail to here.
send it. I don't care. At least
you
I'll
can
get some
send it to
email.
me. Send it to me. I
I
don't
don't
get enough
care.
hate mail.
I don't want to get canceled off of Instagram though. Because
Cancel
I'm doing
me.
That. I'm
I
doing
get all
right
of
now.
the hate mail
that.
for some reason.
That's because we
Yeah.
forwarded our emails to you. So-
Kid says they're always addressed. Mover, you will die soon.
That's horrible.
Like it's always
Dude,
the
some of
death
the ones
threats
you've
come to
sent me are
me.
amazing.
Yeah, Mover,
I was like,
your
oh,
time is
man.
soon. Which now it's like soon TM because like what is soon? Because soon
Yeah.
has passed. We're
Yeah.
past soon. We're just at like eventually, which of course everybody eventually gets. Skid, who's the world's greatest ground fact, says unscorable at 6. Oh, speaking of that, Steve says for the slow kids in the class, what is ground? It's
Fact.
FAC.
Oh, no, I like that one actually. I've dealt with a couple ground facts that should have been FAQ. And some great ones, but come on, that's
It's
actually fun.
forward air controller.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Wombat's right. Dutch pilot guy
Never
who
gets
we've
old
not
either.
verified any of his credentials.
No, but you
Says
guys
that the bump on
Hornet?
violence for glide path deviations when traffic taxis in front of the Jeep glide path antennae.
Mm.
In IMC inside the final approach fix, it's a go around. VMC inside the final approach fix, it's a caution.
Oh wow, that's good.
and
to
it probably
know.
it was VMC, right?
Yeah.
We
Ish.
learned things.
3600.
Blowing
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah, well, I mean that's
Cool. Look at that, man. Learn something every day.
and I
like
just
the-
guessed, which is what got me to this point in my career. So see, I'm pretty good at it.
It's like the
But you
reading
guess with
rainbow.
confidence.
That is
Hi.
the key. Guess with confidence. Sorry.
All right, serious.
No, seriously. So Wombat, you have not been on the show for our discussions on the RJ crash. So this will be your first time talking. When I say RJ, I mean the DCA Potomac crash with the Blackhawk.
Mhm.
There was an update and they pulled the CVR data off of the helicopter, which I'd like to discuss right now. If we could, we have to get rid of that
God,
banner
that's
so I
3
can read
weeks
this.
ago already.
Yeah. So on Valentine's Day, the NTSB came out with their statement on that. They said that the particular flight for the Blackhawk was a check ride for the co-pilot. The practical exam, they must qualify to perform specific aircrew duties. There's 3 types of check rides: instrument, annual, and night vision goggles. This was an annual and night vision goggle. So we believe the helicopter crew was likely wearing the night vision goggles throughout the flight, given the nature of the check ride. Additionally, had they been removed, the crew was required to have a discussion about unaided flight, but there's no evidence that they said any of that. They talk about a chart. They had altitude restrictions, helicopter route 1, 1,300 feet at the Cabin John and Chain Bridge, 1,000 feet at the Chain Bridge, 700 just after that, 300 at the Key Bridge, and 200 just south of Memorial Bridge. So at 8:15 Eastern, the RJ left 37,000 feet for an initial descent. 15 minutes later, the Blackhawk began traveling generally southbound after maneuvering near Laytonsville, Maryland. CVR audio from the Blackhawk indicated the instructor pilot was the pilot monitoring. I've talked about this on the channel. Crew aircraft, you have a pilot monitoring whose job is to talk on the radios, monitor what's going on. Big picture situational awareness. Pilot flying is the one that's actually operating the controls. And that's who was transmitting and talking to ATC. The Blackhawk crew requested the helicopter route 1 to 4 at 8:33, which the tower controller approved. At 8:38, Blackhawk reached the intersection of the DC Beltway and the Potomac River near Crater Rock. Is that how you say it? Maryland. After briefly turning westbound, the Blackhawk turned back to the east, began descending as it picked up helicopter route 1 over the Potomac River. Does it say that they were on? No, it says that later. At 8:39, Potomac approach cleared the RJ for the Mount Vernon Visual 1 runway 1 approach. So they were on runway 1. At 8:40:46, the RJ rolled out a left turn established on the ILS for runway 1, 4,000 feet, pressure altitude, 170 knots, gear up, flaps extended at 20 degrees. 8:43, the RJ crew made initial contact with tower. Tower controller then asked if they could switch to runway 33. RJ crew agreed, switched to runway 33. At this time, Blackhawk was 1.1 nautical miles west of the Key Bridge. Pilot flying indicated they were flying at 300 feet. The instructor pilot indicated they were, the pilot flying indicated they were at 300 feet. The instructor pilot indicated they were at 400 feet. To me, it's not clear whether this means that they were verbalizing it or that's what the instrument showed or both. But neither pilot made a comment discussing an altitude discrepancy. At this time, we do not know why there's a discrepancy between the two. And this is baro altitude. This is not the rat out, which is likely what they were using at this time, but it's unclear. So at 8:44, the Blackhawk approached Key Bridge. The instructor pilot indicated the pilot was at 300 feet, descending to 200 feet. Again, I think they're saying the instrument, not actually saying this. 8:44, the RJ selected 30 flaps and then 45 flaps. At 8:44:49, the landing gear was down and locked. The aircraft was fully configured 6.2 miles south of the airport. At 8:45, they disconnected the autopilot and began a shallow right turn off of the ILS for runway 1, or the localizer, at the radio altitude of 1,700 feet and airspeed 134 knots. This occurred approximately 5 miles south of the airport. At 8:45:30, so 3 seconds later, the Blackhawk passed over the Memorial Bridge. Instructor pilot told the pilot flying they were at 300 feet and needed to descend. So they verbalized, we needed to descend to 200 feet, which the pilot flying said that they would descend to 200 feet. At 8:45:58, the Blackhawk then crossed over the Washington Tidal Basin and followed the Washington Channel consistent with helicopter route 1. It is now approximately 2 minutes before the collision. At 8:46:01, radio transmission from the tower was audible on the RJ CVR, informing the Blackhawk they had traffic just south of the Wilson Bridge. Was an RJ at 1,200 feet circling to runway 33. So it was audible on the RJ CVR.
Mm-hmm.
The CVR data indicating the portion of the transmission stating that the RJ was circling may not have been received by the Blackhawk. We hear the word circling in ATC communications, but we do not hear it on the Blackhawk CVR. We don't hear the word circling.
That's interesting.
The recorders group is evaluating this. At 8:46:08, the Blackhawk crew responded that they had traffic in sight and requested the visual separation, which was approved by tower. At 8:46:29, the RJ crew received a 1,000-foot automated call out. And Wombat, we'll talk about this in a minute, but both times they've talked about transcripts, they have not talked about, at least at my airline, when you hear a 1,000, you get a stable call. When you hear a 500, we do stable target sync, etc. So they don't talk about that. They don't talk well, but this is probably the same FOM that I'm used to. So like call outs, standard.
I see what
call
you're saying. They're not saying that the RJ crew said anything, is what you're saying.
To each other, right? They're saying that the automated thing happened, but then no one said anything in the cockpit, which is not causal, but unusual to me.
That is unusual. You're right.
Okay. So let's see. Where was I? At DCA Tower cleared them at 8:46:47. Other jet traffic on runway 1 for immediate departure with no delay. I brought this up in my video as perhaps a distraction because the RJ crew is now looking at an intersection takeoff that could be a factor. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. At 8:47:27, 32 seconds before impact, the Blackhawk passed the southern tip of Haynes Point. A second later, the RJ began a left roll to turn the final on runway 33, so now they're belly up. The RJ was at a radio altitude of 516 feet and 133 knots. At 8:47:29, the RJ crew received a 500 automated call out. Again, does not say there's any verbalization between the two pilots. It just says they got the call out. At 8:47:39, 20 seconds before impact, a radio transmission from the tower was audible in both CVRs asking the Blackhawk crew if the RJ was in sight. Audible in the ATC transmission was a conflict alert in the background. At 8:47:40, the RJ crew received an automated traffic collision or traffic advisory from the TCAS system stating traffic. TCAS is the traffic alert and collision avoidance system on the RJ.
Can you stop there real quick? Sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to. So received an automated traffic advisory.
They got a traffic call out.
They got TA.
No, I know. I wanted to make sure that it was audible, but if it's stating traffic, because that was something I was talking with somebody about of whether the audible part
whether it was on
that
the
low.
400 feet where it's inhibited on the RJ.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll confirm that, but I think it's 400 feet. So at 8:47:42, or 17 seconds before impact, a radio transmission from the tower was audible on both CVRs, indicating the Blackhawk to pass behind the CRJ. CVR data from the Blackhawk indicated that the portion of the transmission that stated pass behind the may not have been received by the Blackhawk crew. Transmission was stepped on by a 0.8 second mic key from the Blackhawk. Blackhawk was keying the mic to communicate to ATC. In response, at 8:47:44, the Blackhawk crew indicated the traffic was in sight and requested visual separation, which was approved by tower. The instructor pilot then told the pilot flying they believed ATC was asking for the helicopter to move left toward the east bank of the Potomac. At 8:47:52, or 7 seconds before impact, the RJ rolled out on final for runway 33. The rat out for the RJ was 344 feet, 143 knots. At 8:47:58, or 1 second prior to impact, RJ began to increase its pitch, reaching about 9 degrees nose up at the time of the collision. FDR data showed the RJ elevators were deflected near their maximum nose up travel. The last radio altitude recorded for the RJ was 313 feet and was recorded 2 seconds prior to the collision. RJ pitch at the time was 9 degrees nose up. Roll was 11 degrees left wing down, which would be consistent for rolling away and pulling. They were descending at 448 feet per minute, which is a arrested descent as you're doing that. The radio altitude for the Blackhawk at the time of collision was 278 feet and had been steady for the previous 5 seconds. The Blackhawk pitch at the time of the collision was about a half degree nose up with left roll of 1.6 degrees. Examination of the wreckage will assist in determining the exact angle of the collision. We are confident that the radio altitude of the Blackhawk at the time of collision was 278 feet. I want to caution this does not mean this is what the Blackhawk crew was seeing on the barometric altimeters in the cockpit. We are getting conflicting information in the data, which we're going to look into. So to me, that sounds like the RJ crew saw him at the last second, last ditch, try to avoid. The Blackhawk crew never saw him.
Never saw him.
Just no reaction until it was too late. Wombat, I wanted to get your take on that. We've talked about this. I mean, it's horrific, right? This is there's no easy way to even talk about it, but I think there's a lot of, I don't know. You've flown into DCA. What's your take?
It's obviously a busy airport, right? The airspace is massively busy. You are task saturated at best because you have two airports relatively close with Dulles and DCA. I mean, they're not that far away. Plus, you have all of the DC stuff, right? I mean, we brief it insanely about if you have to go around on runway one, it's a left turn because you have all the restricted airspaces and all that. The helicopter traffic is a lot, and that's normal because that's how they get around. I mean, there's a lot of that. I can't tell you the last time I flew into DC and didn't see a helicopter, frankly. The sidestep maneuver to runway 33 or whatever you want to call it, circle, I guess it's technically a circle-ish. I've seen people do it. It happens all the time. It's not uncommon. I do think it is probably predominantly RJs that you see do it when you go in there. And it helps the flow of traffic. It's a massively busy airport that's not big. And, for people, and I've kind of stayed out of the discussions on this because it does hit home. I mean, this is an airport I go and fly into probably once a month or more. And it's always a lot of work getting in there. So it's not difficult to put yourself into that cockpit that night. Now for us, 319s are the only ones. The last time I checked, they were even allowed to do the circle. And when I say the last time I checked, it's because I'm not doing it as a captain, period. Like I don't care, and I'll brief my FOs that if they're like, well, what if they give us this? It's like, well, we're landing on runway 1 or we're going to Dulles, period. Like I just won't do it. There's certain things in aviation I won't do, and that's one of them. But that's just because of my background, right? I mean, if an RJ guy, I'm perfectly confident in saying that crew, that RJ crew, was very comfortable doing this maneuver. I bet they had done it hundreds of times. The RJ, the regional FOs I fly with, tell me that. I mean, I see it all the time. There's so many things. I'd be speculating still after reading that. But what strikes me on that is that the CVR of the helicopter didn't hear, there's no recording of the first RJ call out, right? The first one. And which means if the first time they heard about the RJ that was recorded on their CVR was 20 seconds before impact, that's not a lot of time at night when you got a lot of stuff going on. It sounds like, and again, I'd have to look at the helicopter groups, but it sounds like they are transitioning course rules on that route to 200 or 300 down to 200 anyway. They're on a check ride. They're on goggles. There's so many factors. If you gave that crew the initial call, then I think they have more time. But 20 seconds is nothing. I mean, that's at night on goggles. Like, I don't blame the helicopter crew either. I don't blame any. I mean, it's just, this is one of those, I think what we're going to find, and I know this annoys the hell out of people online, and maybe that's why I just want to say it, but I think what we're going to find is this was just one of those Swiss cheese models that, under the 99.99% solution, it works out because somebody breaks the chain of events, right? But they didn't in this one, unfortunately. It all just lined up. And, to say that that this doesn't happen, it does. And I mean, I remember I was going in there, I believe I was landing on 1, or maybe I was landing south, I can't remember now. And we got a traffic alert for a helicopter that got lazed by somebody. And I mean, it's such a congested area that everybody has to be on their A game. And even if they are, sometimes things just, unfortunately, in aviation line up. I think that's what you're going to see. My guess, and this is purely speculative, my guess is they didn't hear the first call. And when they heard the second call about the traffic, they were looking at the wrong plane. They were looking at a plane on runway 1. Because there's a whole line of them coming in on runway 1. And there's one guy making the turn. That's my guess.
So we got Dave, who's been on the show. Hey, Dave, it's good to see you again. He brings something up that I've also gotten a message from another helicopter pilot. Flown the route 100 of times, day, night, NVGs unaided. Whenever I was a beam DCA, I was always below 200 feet radar altimeter, usually at 100 feet. And what I'd heard too was 50 feet. Guys would go down in helicopters down to 50 feet because, there's not a lot of headroom.
Sure.
And Gonky, you and I have talked about this, dude. This design, like if you are on altitude, I mean, 300 feet, that's a hatter. That is a close pass. We're filing ASAPs.
You're getting a traffic alert if you do that. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Easily.
So this design, geographical separation is terrible. Not to mention, people being off altitude, which we don't even know. Like, right? We're going off of data. That's what we're confident on. Somebody even pointed out that the RJ might have been low or high. It doesn't matter because geographically we're in the same area. And to me, that is like, even if things had worked out by the book, there was zero room in that congested airspace for error.
I don't know. It might be unpopular, but like the more, like I read through that and somebody on YouTube, I can't remember, he did a really nice video. He put some visuals with this. Yeah, his name's Mover. But this is just the IP in me. So, and Wombat, you probably remember teaching students T45. There's certain when you're either an examiner or an instructor, there are certain times when you're like, for one, you go from like, okay, this person's having a little bit of trouble. I need to pay more attention to like just safe operation of the airplane. And then second, there are certain phases of flight or certain points along the route where I'm actually going to be paying more attention that we're safe, vice watching what my student is doing.
Sure.
For example, in fighters, when it comes time to meld the radars, like I'm actually eyeballs out looking at my student because I know they get stuck in the drool cup, drift into me, almost right. Out maneuver, same thing. I'm paying attention. Okay, did he go the right? Oh, he went the wrong way, right? That kind of thing. So,
yeah.
So just listening to this, right? So that the warrant officer was the instructor evaluator. The captain was just coming through getting a rehack. Okay, so I talked about it before.
Like you say coming through getting a rehack. Do we know anything about that?
Yeah, she's just coming through
because it sounds like just an annual.
She was an aide, right? I mean, what I know, she was an aide for a while, and then she's just she's an Army helicopter pilot. Captain.
So I don't think that was accurate. I think she was an aide as an additional duty, like she was the XO or exec or something of the like. I don't.
Well,
I think there's some conflicting info on that. I don't know that she was coming back from anything, but go on.
Regardless,
yeah. Low time. She was low time getting a check ride.
Yeah, she's low time. She's a captain. She's getting her her rehacking the airplane. And from just listening to that comm, to me, it sounds like she's a little behind the helicopter because she's high, right? The warrant's like, hey, we're high. We need to get lower. Yeah, okay, I'm descending. And in my mind, it's like, as the warrant, who I think in the Army would also be the aircraft commander, right? Somebody who signs for the airplane because you're the instructor, the evaluator, the one ultimately responsible.
I gotta believe it is, but
right.
Yeah,
so now, as we're doing this route, okay, dude, this is like extended center line, right? You're at one of the busiest airports in the world. It's nighttime. We are in a helicopter. We're going to cross the extended center line of an active runway. Like in my mind, and he told her, he's like, hey, we're high. We need to get down. And they were at 278 feet when they impacted, right? So obviously they were above the maximum altitude of the route because that was 200 feet. And, we've gotten tipper that most guys fly it at 100 or 50 feet. So like the instructor, I'm not blaming you, but the instructor is like, man, if I was at IP, like that would be one of those areas where, okay, my student's a little behind. So I actually need to be kind of flying this airplane in my mind as well to stay ahead of this thing so we don't end up with a drink. Hey, we're coming up to DCA, super busy airport, extended center line. We're supposed to follow traffic. Like I just, in my mind, I'm not convinced that the warrant, I don't know how to say it. Like, I mean, maybe he was behind the helicopter too.
Over.
Yeah, at some point, because
and I think I want to protect you from I know what you're trying to say. So let me try to protect it. As instructors, I know you've had an instance where you've come out the back side of an incident and you were like,
oh yeah.
Oh,
right.
Oh,
that's how I learned. That's how I learned.
100%. And I'm not saying a warrant officer has to learn or anything like this. And also, I'm not saying that really the experience has anything to do with it. Now, it's easy to say when you're a new instructor, you probably have more of those incidents, but that's not to say that when you were your most seasoned instructor, that you didn't have those scenarios, right? You've had those incidents because I did too. And you come out the backside and you're like, okay, I let that one go too far. And we got lucky. We came out and everything's good. But now my bar has just reset to where I'm going to allow any other student to take me, right? Period. I don't care. Like now it's reset. I think this goes back to kind of what I was saying about the 99.9. These are all those factors, right? I mean, if that didn't happen, the timing didn't happen, if they didn't go to 3.3, I mean, there's so many things. And if you're hearing from people that most people are down at 50 or 100 feet, it's just, this is that Swiss cheese model that
You guys-
unfortunately unfortunately, it's so freaking tragic. Because I'll be honest with you, in aviation, and especially in military aviation, and you both know this, but I don't know if the average viewer does, whatever your average viewer is, it doesn't exist. They're all above average, obviously. But these types of things happen in incidents and accidents in the military all the time. The Swiss cheese lines up perfectly, and there's a smoking hole. Happens all the time. The difference with this one was it brought the RJ into it. If this was just a helicopter that went into the water off of DC, I doubt the news is even, this isn't even on the right. Like, it'll come up, oh my gosh, this is tragic. We lost some people, and it is tragic. But when you interject the civilian side of this, now what it does is it takes guys like you and I who look at these military things and can put ourselves into the cockpit and go, oh boy. And it expands it to the general public who just sits in the back of these planes, and they go, wait a second, right? I mean, so that's where this really takes this to the next level, I
Well,
think.
do you guys have like when you're briefing, like coming into busy airport like DCA, right? So anytime, I forget what it's called, but anytime there's an intersecting runway, they put like a red circle around it on our approach plane.
Yeah,
It's called
hotspot.
a hotspot. That's right. It's called a hotspot, and we're
You should
supposed
try
to
flying more. I'm just
fly
that's
much.
his cat shot brain.
just saying.
See.
Yeah.
But dude, so
The
hotspot,
fact
right?
that he has
So,
a 3-week beard and hasn't thought about aviation, but
well,
whatever.
dude, when we
He
have a
should be
hotspot,
playing Microsoft Flight Sim is what needs to be doing.
we talk about it, and then like
Sure.
when we're on the ground, if we're going through a hotspot, it's no kidding. It's like, hey,
Heads up.
both
Yeah.
eyeballs out of
Yep.
the cockpit. We're both in tune with,
Sure.
which is usually some sort of maybe a potential collision. And same thing with, when I remember many times briefing a student, it's like, hey man, okay, this phase right here is going to be busy time. Like skulls up. I want you to be doing this, right? Number one, don't hit me, right?
Sure.
Eyeballs out, right? There's just certain, and I would just think that that would be I don't know, a hot spot if you, but
do they?
but
So
Gonky-
do they have that though? Like these, I know there's helicopter guys watching, and there's people that'll comment. Like, do they have that? Is that a thing on these routes? Because no route I ever flew airborne has a hot spot. It's just on the ground, right?
Well,
so
hold on. So I mean, back up a little bit, right? We're assuming a lot of things. We're assuming that, they got to the point. If you read that report that we just read, you can almost surmise that the Blackhawk crew, based on their maneuvers, never knew what hit them, like at no point. So using that as an assumption, they had some traffic in sight.
Correct.
That was likely on, because the only aircraft circling was the RJ, right? Nobody else, the one behind them, they didn't talk about anybody else circling.
No.
So if you are convinced in your mind that you are following an aircraft that is now laterally separated, because remember NVGs, we've talked about rejoining on stuff. You think you see how many times it's happened to me where you've been surprised by something being closer than what you thought. I mean, this happens. Like where you're like, oh crap, it's right there.
Yeah.
I thought I had it in sight. I didn't. So back that up to what we're talking about, to your point, Gonky. The IP is going, yeah, this kid's not holding altitude, but we're getting down there. We're getting close. I am convinced that that's it. Mm-hmm. She, whether she was convinced or not, the IP says that they have it. And sometimes we talk each other. We've done this in crew aircraft where we talk each other into something. You're like, oh, you see, yeah, that's it. No, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk our way into the wrong decision because that's just sometimes how crews can be great or crews can be not. But so for him to take it, the spidey sense had to be going off that we're about to be in a bad situation, and I don't think the spidey sense ever went off.
Well, they heard the traffic, right?
No, that's on the RJ.
That's on the RJ.
That's on the RJ.
It didn't transmit over.
No, that is only in the cockpit of the RJ. And remember the RJ. I wanted to go back to this because I brought this up on WOMBAT. For me, I'm not the 121 guy that you are, but I want your opinion as El Capitan. I'm on this approach, right? If you bring up the runway diagram, you talk about hotspots. There's a hotspot of the intersection of runway 33 and runway 1. So you just heard Tower say, clear for takeoff, runway 1, no delay. So they're trying to push this other aircraft. That's why they switched them. They switched them to get this other aircraft airborne on runway 1. It's traffic flow. We're doing this not for safety. We're doing it because of congestion, because DCA has too many airplanes in the first place, and we're just trying to get in and out and all that stuff.
A lot of senators. Yeah.
So what is to me, the RJ is not looking clearing left, right, or whatever. They're focused in front of them at that intersection to make sure that they don't have to do a go around, because the aircraft taking off either had to do a rejected takeoff, was slow, or they're going to be a conflict with that aircraft. That's my mind is what they were looking at out in front of them.
I don't disagree. I think it's one of the things they were looking at, right? They're coming around in this turn.
Yeah.
Right. They're belly up to where this helicopter is anyway. Their eyes are likely out, and again, I never flew an RJ, so, or the pilot flying is maybe still, if they have instrument backup on the instruments, and the pilot monitoring is looking outside to kind of help get their eyes on, but they don't talk about any of that. But yes, to me, the eyes are out, looking the opposite direction of where the traffic is, just to line up for the circle.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with your statement on now they're looking for that aircraft. The only thing I will say is it's fairly common there. Everybody that flies in and out of DC a lot knows that you're going to have you're going to have this all the time. I mean, you line up number 1 on runway 1, and the ATC guy's talking to you as the plane's doing this in front of you, telling you to line up and wait. I mean, because it's just so tight. I mean, it makes
it's too much. It's too congested.
It is, and it makes me laugh, because it's like, if I just threw the brake and pushed up the power to go on the runway, right, like they'd take my tail off, because they're still, I mean, they're in the flare on runway 1 as they're clearing me, because they have to, because it's so congested. So I do think it's a causal factor. I do think it's a factor. I don't know if it's a causal factor that now they're going to take a look at that, which gets their eyes off.
And the tower guy too. The tower guy is trying to sequence.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, 100%. They're trying to, and they're doing that all day, every day. I mean, it's not, this isn't like a busy time. This is DC all the time. And you know what? It's not just DC. Guess what? They do it at LaGuardia the exact same way. You're circling in on 2-2 and they're taking off 3-1 or whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's tragic. The part that I don't know, I mean, I feel bad for everybody involved, everybody that's affected. Obviously, it affects people that don't even know anybody, because you got people that are afraid to fly, or that don't, they're concerned about flying. And then you see something like this. The Toronto thing is only going to add to that, obviously. What I took away from what you read tonight that breaks my heart is the last ditch maneuver.
Yeah.
Because I was really hoping
you just never knew.
Nobody saw anybody and nobody knew what happened, but the pilot flying of that RJ knew what happened. He knew it was, he saw something, and there's no way that you go to 9 degrees nose up and deflect it. He was trying to
and a bank. I mean, full deflection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gonky, you sounded like you were about to say something a while ago. Did you have?
No, I mean, I there's a lot of Swiss cheese lining up, but I just, when I look at it from my IP perspective, there's just things that that I don't know. That as an IP, I'm like, I mean, that was some of the Swiss cheese lining up right there.
Oh, 100%.
We got a couple from the audience that are relevant. William says, I flew the RJ and the DCA with past company, and they would ask to swap over a lot. Same in Pitt and Philly, other busy airports. I read somewhere too that that runway may have been a captain only kind of qual, which sometimes you see that where
I don't know if it was in the RJs though.
I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody'd have to chime in for that
know.
particular airline.
EB says it's not a circle though. I did it in the 321 6 weeks ago. It's a deviation from essentially just before Mount Vernon coming from the side. You went to 3.3 and a 321?
Yeah, I don't know if you did that. What you might be doing is confusing the Mount Vernon visual, where you do come off the ILS and then come back to get around. I forget what the point is there.
That would be a short runway for a 321.
Yeah, I don't like. We don't. I know we don't go there. It's illegal for us to do anything greater than
I don't think the
319.
7.3 does either.
But the confusion that EB may be having here, maybe I don't know. Every airline's different. Is when you come in on the Mount Vernon, you're flying the ILS, you're flying the localizer, and then there's a point where you come left slightly, do not overfly something, and then you come back, and you're back on the. That is not what this RJ was doing. This RJ breaks off. This maneuver they did was much later. They break off, and it is a circle. I mean, you're going from 1 to 3-3. That's 30, 40 degrees. So,
yeah. Kesbin says something strange was going on in the chopper. They keyed the mic at a bad time or too high, and they requested visual. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you can say that.
Sounded pretty normal to me.
Yeah, I mean, it happens where you key up. You're like, wait, what you? Okay, it's like, hey, you got him. Oh yeah, you got him. And then crew aircraft that happens. Dave makes a great point. In any other airspace, if a helicopter or plane got within 500 feet of each other, let alone 200, 300, 400, to be a near miss, ASAP report, FAA investigation, possible suspended license or FEB. And I've said that, like, if this had worked, like to Wombat's point, you might be talking about the helicopter in the itself. Like that is horrible.
There's talk of lateral. There's talk of lateral because you heard the warrant say, "Hey, we need to be like they want us over there closer. They want us farther east, which would have been closer to the bank, not over the water."
Correct.
Right. So if you work the geometry out, if they're
there's a vertical and a lateral.
Yeah. So they're adhering to the 200 feet. And they're farther to the east, any airplanes coming to land would probably be beyond. I don't know. I would think.
But again, I mean, the other part of this and again, I've only been asked to land on 3-3 once, and I politely said no. But the other factor in this, though, is like, it's not a precision maneuver to go from 1 to 3-3, right? So, even to the person's point of if it's 40 degrees and they consider that not a circle or whatever, you could watch this happen 100 times and 100 planes aren't going to go over the same path, right? This isn't precision ILS where everybody comes down the exact same path and you can run somebody right by them. You're going to have people that go, you know what? I want a longer final, so I'm going to turn a little earlier, or I'm going to turn a little wider, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to keep my airspeed up because it's gusty around. So, I mean, that's a non-precision maneuver, no matter how you score it. So to have helicopters that close, yeah, it's tragic. It bums me out, man. It really does. I remember when I saw the message and I sent it to you guys, I think pretty immediately when it was all going down. You were probably seeing it too. And it's like, because again, to me, I've flown in there so many times. Yeah. That you could totally see this. I mean, the last time I went up there, it's daytime, beautiful, clear. We're doing the Mount Vernon, and they were like, "Hey, you got a helicopter under your nose by the bridge." And I look and I saw it, and I was like, "Just one," is what I said over the radio. And they're like, "Oh, no, it's flight of 2." And I'm like, so it's like, it's busy. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if we get any major changes out of this, because remember the last major mishap we had, the Colgan flight. I mean, that changed the industry.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so
you may get rid of circles, right? I mean, that may not be a thing anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I think helicopters are suspended right now in that area. I don't think they're doing any.
I don't know.
Yeah,
are they landing on 3-3 anymore? Because
Zipper says
they closed that for a while.
It's an unsafe design. End of story. I just look at. I mean, the first couple times you fly the Mount Vernon visual. What is it? The river visual going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you had to design that. Like you had to design a low level for an airliner to fly to be like that. There's design flaws just inherent because everywhere else you go, it's like this long straight in. It's very predictable and stuff. You go to DCA and it's like, dude, you're trying to avoid the Viet Cong. It's like you're snaking around the.
Hey there. Busy, but I mean, LaGuardia. I was going to say, don't trigger your co-host. LaGuardia is the same way, man. When they do the the 1 on 2-2, you're wrapped up coming over whatever
I know.
to me, it'll always be the old Shea Stadium, but you're coming around that way. You know, and it's,
yeah. All right.
So, I mean, it's airspace is what it is. You want to put an airport that makes it convenient for people to go to. And then you have things like, you know, the White House.
Yeah.
Your airspace is going to be a mess. Period.
All right. Well, before we run out of
Breaking
time,
hold on.
Growler crash north.
No, stop.
There's another thing. Something happened.
Yeah, let me show you this. All right, everybody, check this out.
No.
How do I? You guys see this? All right, this is the new angle of the Toronto. Ready?
Oh boy, this is right from behind it.
Yeah, here we go.
God. Okay.
Enhance play. Oh man,
So just hit hard.
looks like a really hard land. Oh man, yeah. So for our listeners, it's a view from the back. Here's slow motion. Looks like normal approach. A lot of white snow. So maybe
Right wing drops.
ground rush looks like a
it
really
dropped.
hard.
It did like a weird.
Yeah, the right wing dropped.
Yeah. So
Oh my God.
I don't know. Look like either
How's
they
the
landed.
little girl doing? How's the kid doing? Is there
I
any
don't know, man.
updates?
I don't know. That's
Wow.
that's all I have, sir.
Well, this is your segment anyway, Gonky. Talk about the Growler crash because you've got deep intel.
I don't have deep intel, but we got Wombat here, so I wanted to run it past him. And
You got the video?
Yeah, somewhere. Hold on, dude.
You got multiple monitors now, dude. You're
I-
high speed,
dude,
low
look-
drag.
Wait, you have more
Yeah.
than one monitor?
Oh yeah, dude, he's into.
Dude, I'm high
God,
speed.
I'm
now.
falling behind. Man.
Exactly. Wombat, have you seen the? Okay, yeah.
Ooh,
That
the
video you want?
Art, the
Yeah,
new
dude.
reef in
No,
the San
there's-
Diego Bay. Yeah,
Have
I've
you
seen
seen it hit? Oh my! Look at that. So that's right off of. It's
I
right
give it
before
a
Point Loma.
6 because the splash was too big. You need
Look
to
at
come
that,
in
man.
more vertical.
Gears
if you
down.
want the 10.
Yeah.
So-
So, dude, there hasn't been a whole. So they've just started pulling the wreckage out of the bay there. It's not all out yet. They're pulling the big pieces out. But the good news, right? Both the pilot and the ECMO Wizzo
ECMO.
punched
Ewo.
out.
E-
Yeah, they both
Aren't
punched
they
out.
EWOs?
Ewo, ECMO, the guy in the back, dude in the back, they got out. Like Mover said, gear down. I didn't see a hook down. I like paused it a bunch of times to see if maybe the hook
Yeah,
was
I
down,
didn't see a
right?
hook
Some
down
sort of
either.
emergency. And I guess on-scene witnesses said they heard jet noises, and then before it crashed, they heard no noises. So I, take that with a grain of salt. But as of right before this show, there really wasn't a whole lot of extra data out on the crash, other than the fact that they are pulling the pieces out. I think I read some. They think by like Thursday they'll have everything out. But it went down right off the end of the runway, and
Could have been bad.
Yeah, they could have been very bad. My assumption is attempted landing, maybe coming back because they were doing a big exercise off the coast.
It was a big exercise. They were launching all sorts of planes off San Diego just prior. So
Yeah, VAQ 135, and I was like, oh, maybe they had something wrong at the boat. Came back, tried to land at the field, and something went haywire. But I just kind of wanted to get, after seeing that video and knowing what you know about the Navy. What's your take on that, man?
thank God the guys got out. Number one, first and foremost. We're up to what? I made a joke on your Facebook.
It's over 7,000, right? It's like
7,776.
No, it's 777. They
up.
just had a
that's right.
AT something.
Was it a Korean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay.
They had another ejection. Yeah.
Yeah. They hit triple. They hit the
How do you
quad
make it?
sevens.
Quad sevens. I mean, if you're gonna have goals, that would have been my goal. Like that would have been
No more.
No more. Let's.
Well,
no more
wait,
crashes.
That's the live saved meter, so we don't want it to stop.
That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
you know as well as I do, man. You've flown in San Diego a bunch. The marine layer comes in, the weather changes. It's beautiful 99% of the time, but when it's not beautiful, it's really not beautiful. As far as aviation goes, I think a lot of people that have visited San Diego or live there even are like, man, it gets a little cloudy. It's like, no, it gets really crappy quick in San Diego, LA, Point Magoo. When I was up there in the E2, like you would watch that marine layer come in and it sucks. So They're obviously dealing with something, right? Pilots don't, or air crew don't punch out of perfectly good jets normally. So I've got to believe this crew did that. They were dealing with something in the jet, whether it was the weather combined with malfunction, combined with, I mean, who knows? You know, it's still way too early. Just thank God they got out, and thank God that the plane went in the water and didn't land. And then,
there, nuke
I mean,
subbase, like right there.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
sub
subs,
bases.
there's carriers, there's,
yeah.
I mean, I mean, dude,
It's San
flying to
Diego.
San Diego, it's so congested.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness, if that plane, if a, do they call it? They don't call them rhinos. If a Growler, sorry, went
Growlers,
into, I mean, I don't care if it has no fuel in it. That thing's going to kill some people on the ground. With
Is
how
that
congested it is
one
there.
that, do you know, like the E2 is a national asset, right? Is the Growler with the
First of
crazy
all, I'm going to
pods?
stop you right there. It's not a national asset. It's a national asset.
Okay,
Period.
sorry.
National asset.
Is the Growler a national asset?
You know,
With
I
the
don't know if
pods?
it is or not. I think it probably depends what it's carrying.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's what deems it a national asset is the cost.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, this
And
thing had
some of
pods on
those,
it.
some of those pods can't be cheap. I mean,
Yeah, no.
because I remember, you know, back in our day when there was stuff wired wrong or something, and a Prowler would go off the cat and doorbell and drop all the pods. It was a Class A quick. And so I could only imagine, you know, it'll be real interesting to see what comes out of this one. I'm so happy the crew got out. I really am. I'm so happy that the fishing boat was there to pull them out of the water. The naval aviator in me wants to know who was the guy wearing the jacket and who the guy wasn't. Because I'm like, do we fly with jackets on? So who's wearing it? Because the picture
dress
shows
Wombat.
Yeah, that's not Navy style. Navy style is way different.
Just die.
Just die.
So
if you eject, you die.
And then, you know, I went on. Mover and I kind of chatted about this the other day. Look, I know we live in a world where there's pictures of everything and there's video, and I'm not going to lie to you, that Growler going in is a pretty cool video, actually. But because they survived, where my line in the sand is just stop putting up pictures of people. Like, just stop. Like, if you have an Instagram page, if you have a social media page, and you're going to share it, share the other pictures. You don't have to put the people, because who knows, right? I mean, you know, think about it. If your wife just happened to be scrolling on social media, if it existed to the level it does now, and sees a picture of you soaking wet on a fishing boat, because, you know, your iPhone 7 got in the water and doesn't have the juice to call home. I just wish people would just have the wherewithal to just stop that part. That's all. That's my soapbox on that. The rest of the stuff, post the pictures, but it's like, I know they didn't die. I know it's not a next of kin thing. It's just,
I know the decency of it. I got you, man.
Yeah. So
no, I know. Well, it's been a tough year, man. I guess past 6 to 9 months. I mean, for the Growler community, they had the crash up near Whidbey, which I still haven't heard anything from that. And then they lost this jet. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a
really cool community. It's
a small
really
community.
Awesome mission. It's a small community.
Tight knit, man.
Like I said, I'm just happy they got out. I mean, as soon as I heard the plane went in, with everything that happened with the other Super Hornet, I'm like, for the love of God, can we stop shooting down our own airplanes?
Oh,
but you know, it's obviously that's not the case here.
We'll get
but
to that.
But the point I'm getting at is, like, I'm like, not another, and then just, you know, to see that they got out, I'm like, okay, they're good. Let the joke start. Let the investigation start. You know.
Yeah, military and civilian aviation definitely been a sporty.
It's been a rough time. It's been a rough time. So, have you guys flown civilian side since DC?
No.
Well, obviously, no.
Helicopters.
Mover, have you done nothing? Nothing like, right?
No airliners. I've flown
on
the mighty C-130 and on the helicopters.
Well, maybe in the C-130. I'll tell you, I noticed a difference in ATC since DC.
Oh, I noticed a difference flying the helicopter.
Okay.
I mean, they are super.
Oh, yeah.
Who was it that was telling me that?
Yeah.
One of my buddies that flies the 139 says that, like, airliners.
You're gonna have to put pictures up when you talk about helicopters.
The Gray Wolf. It looks like the one behind me, except it's for the Air Force in gray.
Yes.
But
You're looking at
he was talking about how airline pilots on the radio were noticeably nervous when they were talking the helicopter traffic, like around the helicopter traffic. Like there is a palpable sense of like lack of trust,
nervousness.
Now. Yeah, nervousness.
Well, yeah, I would.
Like
Yeah,
that.
I would. I'd say nervousness was the vibe I got. A lot of questions. You know, if it's that is nice. It looks better in black, but the a lot of like I went up. I think the trip I did after was just like a LaGuardia turn or something, you know, and it was not right after. And New York airspace, you know, those guys are obviously dealing with, and girls are dealing with a lot of. It's a busy freaking airspace. We obviously transit, you know, DC airspace, and there was just this vibe of like, you weren't sharp on your calls. There was just a heightened sense of something. So I was just curious if you guys seen that, but it sounds like.
All right, next question. We're running out of time.
Sorry.
So I want to get to everything.
Truman.
Question for Wombat. What is the LSO's role when a ship is about to hit another ship?
I mean, probably, you know, well, it depends. If we're in the middle of recovery, you watch it. If we're not in the middle of a recovery, you go about doing what you would be doing. I can't see.
Brace.
Yeah. I don't know. Jump in the little basket in the. I mean, nothing. We don't have anything to do with it whatsoever.
Doug, pull it up, Doug.
Gonky, that's yours, man.
USS Harry Truman pulls into Suda Bay for repairs after a collision. So, dude, this CAG and air wing. So this is the CAG and battle group that has the Gettysburg, which shot down the friendlies in December, and now the centerpiece of naval power. Anyways, the carrier has had a collision with a
merchant tanker.
Merchant ship, which is not good. So scroll up a little bit, Doug. You can see the damage here. It's on the back starboard or right hand for you non-seagoing types.
And forward, you see it.
Yeah.
Or right of that picture, you see it too.
Yeah. So maybe from the very back of the ship up the right side, I don't know. Maybe
they drifting. How do you get the back end to hit something?
Yeah, it's not easy.
Easy.
How does anything get close enough to hit it? Like,
we'll get to that in a second.
Okay. I apologize.
But yeah, so it actually pierced the hull, right? So there are spots on the Truman right there. There you go. Where you can see.
Buff out.
No, that will not buff. That's probably someone's stateroom. Which is
that a sewer line?
Hey, it's probably, dude.
Everything on a carrier is a sewer line. Let's be honest.
Yeah, thank goodness though. As far as I know, nobody was hurt.
I didn't hear of any injuries.
But yeah, so it's obviously under investigation. So I mean, so the Truman's commander is Captain Dave Snowden or Frosty. So I actually know Frosty. He's my XO when I was a IP. He was a Blue S3s Hornets. Great guy. I mean, I've flown with him. Yeah, just a super awesome, really good dude. That tour was a little stressful for me at times, and he was a really good leader. So it makes me sad that he's the captain of that ship because usually when stuff like this happens, captain gets relieved. So I don't fully understand how they drive ships, but like Mover alluded to, how does this happen, right? I mean, we used to joke all the time, and Wombat can chime in too. As fighter pilots, as aviators, it's like, was the 10 knots of closure too much to handle? It's like that scene in Austin Powers, no, he's driving the thing at 1 mile per hour. No, it's like, really, it's 100,000 tons, 10 knots of closure. Do you think, and it's got radar sensors, all kinds of stuff. It's like, how does this happen? But it does happen. I don't know what the weather conditions were day, night. I will say this, obviously everybody knows like the Chinese sub sneaking up on the carrier about 15 years ago, just surfacing right in the middle of the battle group. Hey, I was on the ship when an Iranian frigate just showed up right next to it one day, and I was the first one up in the tower in the morning, and it was like, dude, somebody hit the panic button up there. I mean, launch the helo, get that thing in between us. And I'm like, there's like a 500-foot warship parked like right there. Like,
I bet that helo is super stoked to be like, hey, go be a bullet sponge for that.
Well, in my mind, I'm like, this is the first time y'all.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, it's funny you bring that up, man. Like, how many times could you join up on the Hawkeye without them knowing you were joining up on them? Because again, it's where they're looking, right? It's you're looking too big. You're not seeing what's right next to you.
But did you combine that? You combine that with the Hornet shoot down. It's like, oh wait, those were our guys coming back, right?
Do you know? Not that it matters in this case, but do you know who the CAG is on?
I don't know. I haven't looked, honestly. But I mean, just this kind of go. I mean, WOMBAT will tell you, like, we made fun of SWOs like relentlessly.
And
this is just like, all joking aside, it's like, man, I mean, it does look embarrassing in my mind, and I don't think it's anything new. I mean, ships been hitting one another for hundreds and hundreds of years, as long as they've been sailing. I'm just thankful nobody was hurt. I'm sad it had to be Frosty as the skipper, because as I've seen many times in the Air Force and the Navy, a lot of times skippers get relieved for something that they really had no. Now he's the captain of the ship, right?
Sure,
but he's not the one driving, right? I mean, the captain's
ultimate responsibility, but not likely the one. Actually,
correct. So, I always like to say we're going to find out what happened. It's just. This battle group, I mean, they should probably just go home, call it.
Yeah, they need a break. This is a CRM nightmare.
Yeah, we've smoked some Houthi drones. We've shot down a Hornet, tried to shoot down another one. We've crashed our nuclear powered carrier. Well, let's just go home and
we'll just do a reset. Let's just do a reset. Have a mental minute, if you will.
Correct. Yeah.
That's
what I would do.
What a deployment. I mean, all seriousness aside, for a joke, could you imagine the cruise patch that's going to come out? I'll tell anybody right now, I will pay good money for a cruise patch from that deployment sent to me. That it's going to, first of all, if you're an aviator on that cruise and you don't make the best cruise patch, you should turn your wings in, like Cougar
or if I could be a fly on the wall in that Forecastle Follies.
Oh my god!
Oh, dude, it'd just be.
I wonder if they even have it. Like, I wonder if it's one of those ones where it's just like, no.
Forecastle Follies, for everybody listening, it's a Navy thing, but it is literally a chance for junior Manning to air their grievances with up to the admiral.
Yes.
Like, the admiral of the battle group would be in there to our face, and the my buddies in VMFA FA 323, the Snakes, showed their bare rear to the admiral and CAG in their displeasure of leadership, and nothing happened, because that's the rule.
It's the sanctuary of the forecastle.
You can air your grievances to the max.
How do you spell that?
Forecastle.
FOS''CLE, I think.
What is it?
It's held in the forecastle. It's held in the forecastle of the ship, which is up front.
It's the front by the anchor. And you guys probably did this.
But better.
It's amazing. And
dude, it's brutal.
You probably did it like whenever our admiral would walk in. I think this was Navy tradition, or at least it was on every time I went to one. But like, all of the aviators would be standing around, and as soon as he walked in, it would be like shoe, 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 as they marched, because like brown shoe, black shoe, like, so it was just this like tone. But you needed it, right? Like, it was that ultimate release to then be able to strap yourself into a plane and throw yourself off the front and come back. Like, you needed that, and
you let them know where you stand.
So you got a release with the admiral,
so to speak. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, like, bare rear end. I mean, and I'm sure there's been worse.
I've heard about. So what I'm hearing is naked dudes release. There's just too. I can't do this Navy.
Your jealousy is shining through, mover.
I got out of the Navy for a reason.
All I'm saying is, look,
it's a different
Truman,
Navy.
Dude, take your battle group. Like,
just
let's patch the hole. Just go home.
Yeah, just go home. Navy, please just give them a break.
Mondo.
That's horrible.
That's all I have to say about Truman.
Thank you. Well, Scunner says, late to the show, but wanted to say I passed my private pilot check ride this weekend.
Nice.
Massive thanks to you guys for inspiring me to finally take the leap. And I think we've got another viewer, BJ, taking check ride tomorrow. So good luck.
Oh, wow. Good luck.
Good
That's
luck.
awesome.
You've got this.
That's
we
awesome.
have
Yeah.
all the faith.
That's right.
in
We want to hear
you.
about next week.
Hell yeah. And well, do we do mental health minute?
It's a good one, Mover.
I'll let you start it off,
Might
Gonky.
be on
I don't
topic.
know, dude. You pick this one here. I'll
Nah, dude. I picked it, but you
Wow. Where's this
ran
gonna
with it.
go?
yeah, go ahead, Gonky.
My take is a little different. All right, the world needs stitch stickers too.
This is gonna be interesting. I'm actually can't wait to hear this.
I don't know. Maybe this is just therapy for me and Mover.
Maybe it's a bad idea.
Maybe it's just therapy. So we were having our
You're not making any money off the channel anyway. What difference
Correct.
does it make?
No,
we're
all
having
right.
our-
Well, let me tell you where that comes from. I don't know if this is the Navy and stuff. What are you doing? Stop it! Hey, we're in the middle of the mental health minute,
I
Doug.
don't know him.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know neither.
Your pay has
Sorry,
been cut
my,
by
my, my mouse is going bad.
half. We're docking you.
We need the keyboard sound so we can tell when Doug is searching for something.
Yeah.
Honestly, my mouse just did something completely
is-
on its own.
What is Doug's pay divided by 0?
Yeah, that's
What
it. You
ours
can't
is.
divide by 0. All right. See, now we lost it. So
No, we're back. We're back.
we used to have in the bathroom of the Air Force, the weapons officer would put like a little newsletter together, and it'd be like, current threats, most recent tactic and stuff. And at the top or the bottom, the header or the footer, I forget which, it always used to say, the world needs ditch diggers too. And the point of that was that not everybody's cut out for this job. Not everybody's cut out to do X, Y, and Z. And I thought of that when I was doing my little drive yesterday for the Sunday Drives with Mover on the channel in the old Corvette. And I was talking about ARCA, the race car stuff, and how they said, hey, you're not qualified to run Daytona. And I was very happy for Cletus. We've talked about Cletus on this channel. He does some awesome stuff with his helicopter and all that. He got to race ARCA, and dude, his interview was amazing. Just incredibly humble guy, funny guy. He deserves all the best. But my point was that the farther away I get from it, the more unlikely it becomes, because, as you turn another lap around the sun, you're not getting any younger. And some of these things are a young man's game. And it made me think of the world needs ditch diggers too. And some of that in terms of mental health is awful. Like, we're sitting here telling people to be positive and enjoy your life and make them tell you no and all this stuff. And the next thing I'm saying is, well, the world needs ditch diggers too. But the point in this context is sometimes the answer is no, but sometimes you have a different lot in life than what you thought. And sometimes you have to accept that, yeah, you didn't become a fighter pilot. Yeah, you didn't become a race car driver. Yeah, you didn't do that, but you can still do great things where you're meant to be. It's the grow where you're planted. It's the being present in the moment, what you're doing, and making the most out of it, instead of being sad that, you're not out doing that, which, by the way, ditch diggers make a lot of money now. Like, that is not a very lucrative job, but sometimes it's just not meant to be. And that's okay. Like, we accept that and we go wherever we're most needed and where our talents are going to be most appreciated, and find happiness there. So that was kind of where I was thinking we were going with that, Gonky. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. So Mover and I were having our daily pout fest, and he brought up, and he said it in the past, the world needs ditch diggers too, usually when he's making fun of me. But, it reminded me, I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn and Mike Tyson. And, Jim Rohn always says, don't send your ducks to Eagle School. And, Mover and I are trying to do, things with, YouTube outside of YouTube. I've got, projects going on, a little bit of flying as well. And like, just lately, we've talked about on the show, it's like, we just can't get a win. And, I've thought a lot lately, especially with my knee, because kind of being out of action, when you're physically disabled, for somebody like me who's always active, and I'm the guy that gets up at 3:30 in the morning and gets stuff going, and I work, I work all day, and I can't, and that mentally that's hard, right? When you physically can't do stuff. I mean, I was playing with my took my son out. One of my friends bought him an amazing RC car. These new ones are crazy. Anyways, I took him to go play with it. We had to come home early because I couldn't stand anymore. My knee was swelling up and I felt bad, but I got to thinking, I'm trying to do all these things outside of the box. And I was joking with Mover. I was like, why can't I just go fly airplanes and be happy? And then I was thinking, well, maybe that's what I should have done. Right. So I start playing this game in my head, but at the end of the day, the world needs ditch diggers too. I may be a ditch digger at the end of the day, but I don't define myself through what I do. Right. So I was thinking about this. I may be a ditch digger, but dude, like the relationship I have with my family in my mind is like nobody has a better relationship with their kids or their wife than I do, because I am here all the time. My kids think it's weird if I don't make them breakfast and tuck them in at night, except on Mondays because I can't, because I'm doing the show. But I basically write my own schedule. I can't work because of my leg for 6 weeks, and I'm okay with it because I have a few little other things going on. It's not where I want to be, and it's not where I dreamed of, right? At least not yet. Maybe it'll pan out, maybe it won't, but I think it's important. Like Mover said, the world needs ditch diggers, but if you don't define yourself through just your job, you have to look at it from the perspective of, what's really important. And that has helped me. I still struggle with it because I'm goal oriented. It's the fighter pilot in me, but I don't know. That's what I thought about today, Mover, after we talked about it. WOMBAT, what do you think?
So I know both of you guys pretty well, I think. Let me tell you a story about a guy who was told that he had a mass that was half the size of his head right when he hit what he thought was the pinnacle of everything he ever wanted in his life. But now he can't fly. And the service that he gave everything for turned their back on him, actively went after them in ways that the average person would be shocked to hear about. Mental health is such a fragile thing to where at that moment you're looking at something and you think you know everything, right? You think you know exactly where you're supposed to be and things are lining up exactly where they're at. Everything you worked for, the long hours, the sacrifices, everything, and it goes away in a second. And you don't know if it's coming back. You don't know if you're ever going to fly an airplane again. You don't even know if you're going to live. And it forces you to take a good hard look and reevaluate what's important in life. And that was me in 2010, 2011 timeframe. I didn't know if I was going to have a job in the Navy. I didn't know if I was going to have an honorable discharge when I got out. I didn't know if I was going to somehow go to Navy jail, whatever that is. I don't even know. But I also didn't know if I was going to live. And I had just met my now wife like a month before all of this, maybe 2 months. So I didn't really have this immediate network of people that I could lean on, right? I wasn't watching the Mover and Gonky show every Monday going, wow, thanks guys, that really helped. I didn't have any of this. I had Gonky actual, which was nice, and Mrs. Gonky, which was nice. And I had my family, my mom and dad, although they were on the other side of the world. But I look at it now, 14 years later. If this is being a ditch digger, I'll take it every day. it changed everything in my life. So I think there's two sides to this. On the one hand, it's okay at points in your life to go, you know what? X, Y, and Z wasn't meant for me. But I don't think that it's okay to use that as an excuse too early. Because it's real easy when you have goals sitting in front of you, whatever those goals are, doesn't matter what they are. They could be to race cars. They could be to be a fighter pilot. They could be to get in shape or to fix a relationship. I don't care what your goals are. If they're in front of you, it's so simple to look at things that are difficult in front of you and just go, it's not meant for me, man. I'm supposed to be a ditch digger here, and quit. So there's a real fine line in life between accepting that the path in your brain maybe isn't where you were supposed to be heading and giving up early. Now, one of the things I've learned now that I'm a real old man, not like mover old man, but a real old man, is that in the past couple of years, my faith has been something that I could greatly lean on in this and just go, you know what? I am going to work my butt off. I'm going to give everything I can give. And that doesn't mean at work all the time, much to Gonky's point, right? It is far more valuable for me to put the effort into my children, my relationship with my wife. But I've also worked very hard to get to the point where I could do that. And I have the financial freedom to do that a little bit. But I'm going to work every day, relentlessly, as hard as I can. You mentioned, your knee hurt. And this is a little tough love, Gonky, and I'll give it to you. And it hurt because you couldn't be out there with your kid. And you know what I want to tell you as your friend? Get a damn chair, bro, and be out there anyway, right? Don't feel sorry for yourself that your knee hurts. Get a chair, right? Mover, you wanted to race Arca. Arca? Is that what it is? Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. And Cletus got to race. Well, guess what? He said he likes your channel. So reach out to him if you haven't already and learn different ways if that's what you still want to do.
He said he liked our channel.
He did. If that's something you still want to do, but maybe it's not. You see my point, but don't feel bad about it because it's racing cars, man. You're a fighter pilot, for Christ's sakes. Like, I promise you, there are far more race car drivers that look up at the flyover than there are fighter pilots that look down at the race. You see my point? So it's all perspective. But what I want to caution people, because in the world we're in right now, things are changing so fast. There's a lot of negativity out there. There's things coming from all angles, right? It's very easy to listen to two massively successful individuals on this show, and they go, you know what? Sometimes you just have to accept that that's not your fate. And it's easy to be the person who's looking up to these two individuals and going, okay, well, this isn't my fate. And I'm here to tell you, bull, it might be your fate. You might be one day away from achieving that goal. Don't give up on that goal, right? If you don't get there, trust me, what I've learned is things will get to a point where it doesn't matter what you do. It does not matter. It did not matter when I literally had a mass half the size of my face that they discovered that was going to kill me. There was nothing I could do other than let the doctors do their job and hope to God that I lived through it. It didn't matter when the Navy was actively pursuing to bury me. Didn't matter what I did. I just had to keep fighting every freaking day. And you know what? It worked out the way it was supposed to. And did that get me out of the Navy earlier than it was probably going to happen? Yep, probably. But guess what? I have 2 kids. I have a wife. I've got a great job. And I work very little. And I get to come on this show and hang out with 2 very close friends. So the point I am getting at is watch that fine line. Mover and Gonky are not giving you freedom to give up on your dreams. That's not what this is about. Nor am I giving either one of them freedom to give up on their dreams, because that's not what bros do. But what they are saying is sometimes what you have manifested in your mind isn't where God, the universe, wants you to be. And that's okay. Like, it's okay that I fly Airbuses for a living. Is it what I wanted to do? No, never. It's okay that somebody at my airline decided that I'm not a good fit to be an instructor right now. And I loved being an instructor, but that's okay because I have so much more time with my kids. right? But I would have never stopped instructing, just like I would have never gotten out of the Navy. And Gonky, you know that. I would have gone on every deployment. I would have ground myself to a physical pulp for the Navy. But that's not where I was supposed to be. So that is what makes life amazing, because you don't know the answer. But that doesn't mean you should give up on your dreams. I look at my boy and I'll say the same thing to my daughter, and I will, God willing, if connections continue, I want Mace to meet my daughter and inspire her because I think she's an extremely strong woman and would be awesome. And Gonky, you probably feel the same way about your daughter. But I tell my boy at 6 years old, I go, you know what? I'm going to tell you to clean your room. I'm going to tell you to stop doing things. I'm going to tell you to stop bugging your sister. The one thing I'm never going to tell you, and if I ever do say this to you, you can tell me no, is to give up on your dreams. Never. I will never tell my son that he can't do something. Because, dude, I was a middle, and I'm being very, very, very gracious on that. Middle of the pack, let's be honest, bottom of the pack. Not smart dude. And I got to fly E2s, and I got to be a fighter pilot. And I'm literally living the dream right now. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. So while I agree, and I know I've gotten on my typical soapbox, which is why I only come on once a month because they get mad at me. Just kidding. I agree that at some point, what you manifest in your mind might not be the way your life works out. Understanding that is not freedom to give up on it. Those don't go hand in hand, because you don't know what you can achieve until you push yourself to the limit and until you go further. So I don't want you to give up. I want you to keep fighting. I want you to get a damn chair and rehab your knee. I'm sorry that I didn't spot you. It's good.
You are not paralyzed, Gonky.
Exactly.
I will get a bigger shovel and dig my ditch bigger. Copy.
Gonky, what I know about you, dude, is there's no level of too much work. You will be massively successful. And Mover, it's the same. I know it. I know it. The goodness that I've seen in you, Mover, brings tears to my eyes. The selfless
Don't put us
acts
on the spot,
that you
Wombat.
do, the selfless acts that you do, the things, and I've said this to you, like these people here are going to be posting like, oh, this is so sweet that Wombat's telling Mover. I've told you this stuff. The things that the Air Force did to you, despite the fact that you did more good to the Air Force than the Air Force has ever done, blows my mind. But it doesn't surprise me because I lived it myself, right? Not that I'm saying I'm as good as you on this stuff. But the point that I'm getting at is you're an amazingly good person. You have an amazingly big heart. Don't stop, right? Use the connections, because you know what? When you do get through to that path that might not have been the way you went or wanted to go, dude, it's amazing. Like, it is stupid cool. Like, when I get to wake up and go like, oh my God, the airline just paid me another day because they screwed up something in scheduling and I don't have to go fly. I get to go play with my kids. Talk to 20-year ago Wombat, who's sitting at Vance Air Force Base just trying to remember his damn emergency procedures. And if you told me this, I'd be like, man, no, I don't want anything to do with airline pilot, dude. I would be a fighter pilot. Like, and look at the path between those two, right? That's what's amazing to me. And that's life, man. Because if you started on day one and knew the end at day zero at the bottom, that's boring as hell. So whatever you guys want to call it, if you want to call it being a ditch digger, neither one of you guys are ditch diggers. Nothing you exude on this channel exudes accepting anything less than your goals. So it starts with you two, and it emulates through everybody who watches this show. So understand the path that you may think up in your brain might not be the path that you're going to take, but man, at the end, it's going to be freaking awesome as long as you don't quit. Period.
Doug?
Really?
Sorry, Doug.
Well, listen, dude, we're
There's
paying
no
you
way
to
I can-
talk.
There's no way I can improve on that. I'll highlight a couple
Words
things.
per minute.
We're paying you to
I'm
talk.
paying you per the word.
Right?
Sorry.
No,
I'll
no,
mute myself now.
Wombat. I'm not gonna call you Walmart this time. I'm gonna be careful about
I
that.
appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm here for you. I'm not a type A, had a plan my whole life, executed it, my kind of guy, the way, you guys pretty much had to be to get to the level of success you had. I kind of wonder who built this tier list, right? Like, who says fighter pilots are better than ditch diggers? And why do people come into it? And I don't mean that sarcastically as it sounds. Why do people come into this idea that you have to be a certain thing in order to succeed? You can succeed at whatever you are. And I think, Wombat, your point about the fine line is really important, that you have to keep striving, but you also have to, and as a friend or as an advisor or as a mentor, sometimes you have to be able to prepare people for what the other direction might be. I get concerned quite often when, I get 18-year-olds in my office talking about their future and they've got it all planned out word for word, letter for letter. I'm like, dude, what is going to happen, the first time you hit an obstacle? Are you ready for that? That doesn't mean I want you to hit obstacles, but it might not work out that way and it could still be awesome. And I'm just totally on board with you there that, grow where you're planted. That if you have a plan, great. If it works out, great. But if it doesn't, like I said, who made that tier list? Maybe where you end up is awesome.
Okay. Well, from the audience, we've got Major Kong, who says ditch digging has clear goals and objectives and start and end points. Compare that to my day job in the government, where it just seems like endless frustration.
Valid, 100% valid.
Bag says, don't should on yourself.
Yep.
That's funny.
John with the quote of the day: all jobs are important and contribute to society regardless of whether they are glamorous or well paid. Mike Tyson / Don Curtis. Neuropilot says, it's like, what would it take to race Daytona? Money.
Yep.
Money and connections. Tons of practice? No. Did you watch the race? No. Yeah. Maybe go back and watch that replay. You'll see him. No, it's not. Crazy Pete says, if you're a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper, MLK Jr. or maybe Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Juan Manuel the fifth says, Wombat, that was gold, 100%. Mark Tisdale, Wombat just punched us all in the feels. CC Pounder says, sorry, Wombat, I didn't catch that. Can you say all of that again? You're on
No,
guard.
I blacked out. I'm like Will Ferrell in old school.
Luckily, we're recording.
That's good.
You're on guard.
That's funny.
That's a show, folks.
Well, can I say one more thing since I've got everybody in the fields now?
Yeah.
I might as well take advantage of it. So people will recognize this shirt that have watched the show, the red shirt, right? Now you guys probably forgot this story already because you have
Where's the
important
toilet
people
chair?
on this show. They're up in the attic. I'm not using them anymore. So last time I wore this shirt, if you remember, red's my son's favorite color, and I wore this shirt and because he wanted people to buy these shirts, right? So this shirt has now become my ask a favor of the channel and the viewers shirt. So I have a favor to ask.
We got no money, but continue.
No, well, not from YouTube, but everybody that's actually watching. So if you hop over to my Instagram, which is, there you go. Right now, I'm doing a very what I find very important is there's a organization called Wake for Warriors, and I'm doing a fundraiser on Instagram for them, and it's all I ask is $1 or $5, whatever you could spare. That's all. You could go on their website, you could look at their mission statement. I could sum it up in 5 seconds to say that they're literally saving lives. The story that I tell is I watched this organization teach a wounded veteran how to wake surf behind a boat. And this particular individual, I'm getting choked up talking about it. We're in the boat. He's back there. The founder is teaching him how to surf, which is not easy because this particular veteran could no longer walk because they're paralyzed from the waist down. So they have special surfboards and chairs they sit in and all this. His kids and his wife, who knew him all before his accident in the military that caused him to be paralyzed, are watching him. I watched these kids and his wife when he got the surfboard up and was surfing and dropped the rope and was back there. I watched the look on his kid's face that their dad was a hero again. And I watched the twinkle, we'll call it, in his wife's eyes looking at her husband. It's truly changing people. So for whatever reason this morning, way too early, I decided, you know what, I want to help him out because there's some politics going on with how they get their fundraising. It's all 100% fundraising. I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw just a link up on Instagram, and it makes you ask for a goal of how much money you want to see donated. And it said $100. And I said, well, I live big. I want 1,000. Let's add a zero, right? What's a zero? And at first I'm like, man, people are going to look at that and be like, that's a lot of money. Well, here's the thing. The issue with that is if anybody's ever been around wakeboard boats or the equipment they need, like $1,000 is probably not gas for a weekend, frankly, for one of these events. And this organization, who, by the way, is run by a veteran, Dave Deep, who's a former Marine, helicopter pilot that also works with me. Fantastic dude. All I'm asking is if you could go over there, take 2 seconds, donate $1, whatever it takes. I would be eternally grateful. Dave would be grateful. And I don't like to ask for things, but it would really mean a ton to me. So that's all I got. It's on my Instagram stories. I'll keep it up in my Instagram stories as much as possible until Mover tells me a better way to do that, because I'm not very smart with this. So that's it. I'm done now.
You could highlight it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. So I'll figure it out. But anyway, I'll just keep reposting it because it's up there for a while. So I don't care.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So I appreciate it. I just know it's a really good group of viewers here that these veterans could really use your help. So that's all. Now I'm done. Sorry. TED Talk over.
No, it's good.
Joe.
Perfect.
Bedtime.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
we couldn't do it without you.
Nope. Next week, Mover, right? Same place, same time,
same paycheck.
Probably.
Hey, we might be back in the window by then.
Maybe.
Window of what?
The window, or I'm not sorry, out of the window. The 31 days or 32.
Oh, we
days.
already got out of that window. Now we're back we're in a new window.
Oh,
yes.
So you missed
What
the
did
update.
you guys do?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Never mind.
I need to watch the show more.
We rehacked that window today. So
I'll just have to spend my own money to get the fancy chair.
the rocking chair. I don't know what happened with that. Nobody. Anyway.
So you guys got demonetized, and it was nothing that I said.
No, dude, our own.
Sorry. We got demonetized without you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little disappointed in myself. So if you ask me to come back on, I'm gonna keep trying to reset that window, because I always thought it'd be something I would say as the retired, like, don't give a damn guy. And so
hey, Wombat, when are you gonna come race with Battle Scarred Motorsports?
I need to learn more about it because I have a lot more time on my hands now. So I want to get more involved.
There's nothing to learn. You push the pedal on the right.
Yeah.
Now that I've got a proper car.
No, you don't.
That experience is irrelevant.
Yeah.
That experience is irrelevant.
Please don't even think that that's going to have anything to do with this.
No. I will say, fun fact for today, just because I'm going to brag about how great my day was. I woke up, I changed the oil and rotated the tires on my truck yesterday. And then immediately this morning thought, I wonder if I tighten the oil pan enough. So I look under there, and there's a drip of oil.
Oil pan off?
The filter, the drain plug.
Oh.
So there's a drip of oil on it. So I'm like, oh crap. So I got to climb back under there. It was tight. It was old oil. And then my boy, in the afternoon when it finally warmed up enough, he's like, hey, Dad, can we go for a rip? That's what he likes to call it. Can we go for a rip? And I'm like, you want to go for a ride in the car? He's like, yeah. And we hop in and we go. And he's like, it's really cold. You probably don't want to put the windows down, huh? And I'm like, that's what the heated seats are for. And we're just ripping around with the heated seats on, listening to his favorite playlist and the exhaust of that car. So it was a great day to just hang out with him. And as he put so eloquently, is it really a race car if you don't have red seatbelts? And he brings up a valid point, Mover. I'm just saying. It's a valid point. Ask yourself that when we get off the air. Is it really a true sports car? I'm just trying to get the beef back up before we go off air. So,
I'm too tired for a beef, dude. We passed my bedtime about a half hour ago.
It's an hour earlier where you are. an
It's
hour
not,
early.
but it's still bedtime. The bedtime is inflexible.
We will talk about the racing offline. That'd be fun. So
put you in touch with
All right.
crayons. All right. Well, everybody, good night. We love
Yep.
you. We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time.
We'll see you guys. Have
Night,
a good
folks.
night.
Good night. Bye.